the Boopcast number 58. We are your host, SheNoob. And where are you? That way.
Cory,
I
you're
moved you.
that
You're
way.
no other
I know,
way.
we're swapping.
I'm
No,
no,
you're right.
that way. Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I was wondering what looked weird in Discord. I didn't realize my thing was mirrored, so I was like, "You're
Yeah.
that way," but no, you're
No,
that
you're
way.
that way.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
The way it appears in Discord is the way it appears in the overlay now. That wasn't the case before. So,
No,
hi.
for me, like it's. I'm used to it the way it looks on the stream, but for me on Discord, it's mirrored. So
Oh,
I'm like, oh, this is weird.
well. Wait, point to your left for a second.
This is my left.
Are you sure? Because we know you're
Yes.
dyslexic. Okay. That's your left. Yeah, no, that's correct orienteering wise, but like, yeah. Mess. Hi everybody. Hey Nick. They're running 9 ads on me right now. Well, that
Oh
blows.
God.
Fuck you, Twitch.
Wait, but you just rolled an ad break, so
Yeah,
shouldn't ad...
I know, but Twitch is running ads on people anyway, regardless of manual ad breaks. It's fucking stupid.
That's really dumb.
Yeah, welcome to Twitch. They're worse than YouTube. How did that happen? Welcome to the Boopcast. Back on topic. This is the first Boopcast of season 5, because apparently we've been doing this for 5 years almost. We're all dying. We're all dying. I can't believe it.
It still really hasn't set in that like we are watching season 8. Like
I know.
Season 7 just finished for me, so I'm like, what?
Well, that's because 2020 is just a complete write-off. So it's like, no, season 7 ended yesterday. What are you talking about? How are we already at volume 8? That doesn't make any sense. So apologies for not having a podcast leading up to today. The universe just didn't want us to do the Boopcast this year.
It conspired against us.
It did. Between, personal life problems and computer trouble and building new PCs and then new PCs breaking. Not mine, his.
Mine, yeah. We wanted to do one last week, and then the day before we were gonna do it, we were like, let's see if it'll be... My computer just completely shit itself, and I didn't get it fixed until like
literally like 5 days
12
ago.
hours before we would have been live, and I hadn't watched the trailers and stuff yet, so it was just like, it was a mess.
So we decided not to do one last week because it would have been too rushed and the graphics were not ready anyway. So, yeah, it's been a very busy 2020, despite the fact we've all been stuck in our homes. But mess of a year. The universe didn't want us to do the Boopcast this year.
It's a cursed year. It's a
cursed.
Cursed year.
It's totally cursed. But you know what our motto is here? Fuck the universe. We're doing it anyway. That's our motto now, apparently. So, RWBY is back for some reason. That happened. Episode 2 is coming out tomorrow as of recording this. Want to give you guys a heads up about what's happening with the Boopcast this year. I've talked about it a little bit in my community post on my YouTube. But basically, this is the only Boopcast this year that's going up on YouTube in full. So everybody who's watching on YouTube right now, you'll need to go follow my Twitch to see the rest of the Boopcasts in full. I'll be posting short clips on my YouTube of each one, but if you want to see the full podcast, it's available immediately after being live streamed as a VOD on my Twitch, and I will save them and they will be available for the whole volume. So you'll be able to watch them whenever, but yeah, you'll have to watch them on Twitch. Yeah. Hi Nick, welcome to the podcast.
Hey,
sorry about the
finally.
ads. I ran a manual ad break, but Twitch is fucked. So yeah. How do we podcast? I've forgotten. Episode 1 happened last week. Obviously Cory and I are both first members, so we see the episodes a week in advance. I do want to say, and I can't believe I still have to say this after however many years I've been doing this, you can watch RWBY for free on the Rooster Teeth website. You just have to wait an extra week after first members. You don't have to pay to see it at all. If you don't want to, you just see it a week later. So if you want to watch RWBY, go to the Rooster Teeth website. If you're pirating it, you're a terrible person and I don't like you.
Yeah, you're actively not supporting the people who are making this show, especially in a time where, like, listen, I fully understand 2020 has been hard for a lot of people, and first membership's something people have probably had to give up as a result of that. But like, if you're pirating the episode, you're not supporting the people who are making the episode in a time where everything is really fucked. Like,
yeah. And I understand as well for people that, like, the Rooster Teeth website doesn't work very well for you. I know there are people that have trouble with the video player. That's understandable, but I still don't want you to pirate the show. It's still bad. Don't do it. Don't upload it to YouTube. Don't do any of that shit. Don't go on to Rooster Teeth videos complaining about them taking it down from YouTube. There are very, very valid reasons why RWBY's not available on YouTube anymore, and most of that is because YouTube sucks.
Yeah,
and it does everything it can
and...
to screw over their own creators. Kind of like what Twitch is doing right now. They all go that way eventually, apparently. Yes, I am still watching RWBY.
It's the music industry's fault, though.
Yeah, I'm at 100%. But yeah, I am still watching RWBY. Also, I need to sheepishly announce something. I said a lot of times I wasn't going to react to RWBY this volume. I am reacting to RWBY this volume because I have the wonderful Reaches Beast from originally from RTDFW, who is also a moderator on the Nerds and Noobs community. She is going to be editing the videos for me this year. So it's the first time I've ever had anybody else edit my YouTube videos ever. And so I'm commissioning her to edit my reactions this year because I don't want to edit them. Thank you for the host, Larissa! How was your podcast? Yeah, I don't want to edit the videos. I hate editing my reaction videos. It's my least favorite thing in the world to do. So I've palmed that off onto somebody else, and Cory's already getting interrupted. Look at that. It wouldn't be a Boopcast if Cory didn't get interrupted like 10 minutes in. So
I told them earlier at 6 I'm doing the podcast. It's different this year.
I know. every time we do a Boopcast, you get interrupted at least once.
Exactly.
But what was I talking about? Yeah, so Reach is editing those for me this year, so they will be up every week. There will be a video every week. As far as my Volume 7 reactions go, I didn't post them weekly last year. I told people I wasn't going to do that because I didn't want to. But I did record myself watching every episode, and I was going to make like a long highlights video of that. Haven't done that. Not sure if I will. But they might be up at some point. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, weekly reactions, and also Cory obviously is still reacting to RWBY as well. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTubes. I've been on Twitch for too long. Subscribe to our YouTubes to see our weekly reactions. This week, my episode 1 reaction is on Larissa's channel, Nerds of Oz. So go subscribe to her because we do the premiere and the finale together every year. I just didn't want to upload it to my channel this year. Can't be bothered. It's going to be on hers. Go watch it there. Love the new overlay. Thank you. This art was designed by the wonderful Imperial Dawn, who is the better half of Corner of Remnant. T minus 2 seconds to Larissa getting offended in the chat. So yeah, go follow Dawn on all of his stuff because his art's amazing, and he made this overlay. Well, he designed the art.
He did the art, yeah,
in the background, as he did for the last piece that we had for the last few years. So felt like it was time for a change for the Boopcast with the change of setting in the show, and change the music, change the overlay, change everything, because why the hell not? Regretting that with how much work it was for me, but you know. Taking it lesser. She's used to it. She lives with me. All of that aside, let's talk about RWBY.
Also, I will say that my reaction to the trailers only went up today. So,
oh yes,
if you haven't watched that yet, that is on my YouTube channel as well. And my reaction will be unblocked tomorrow.
Go watch
that. Or it's already unblocked. It'll be up tomorrow.
Yes. Hopefully we don't hit too many snags this year with the blocking process.
It was unblocked pretty quickly, so... It wasn't like last year where...
Throwing shade. Wait, you were digging at me? I was just saying that Dawn's the better half of Corner of Remnant. You were talking to Dawn. Well, I mean, yeah.
Fair.
So yeah. Rude. Listen. RWBY, yes. What are we talking about?
Yes.
Episode 1. I have mixed feelings about this episode. Mainly because it felt like episode 2 and not episode 1. Because it was kind of boring and nothing really happened. There was one distinct thing that happened at the end, but aside from that, it was a lot of standy talky.
Yeah, but like I get it though. They need to set up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But like we have been kind of spoiled for like volume 6 and 7's finale or premieres were really good.
Really good.
So like and where they ended like and just where they ended last season, it was like I couldn't really see how they could do one that way without just like needlessly throwing in grim fights that don't need to happen. Like at least this way they like it does suck because it was literally an entire episode of just people talking to each other, which I mean granted isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like it set up everything we need to do, so hopefully that there's less just standing around and talking. And you know, I think I saw someone on Twitter talking about that like Eddie or somebody like teased that episode 2 is going to be really good or
Cory
something.
And Eddie were both saying on their Twitters that episode 2 was crazy, I think is the term that they used.
Like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully we've gotten all of the standy talky out of the way, because that's something the show has really suffered from in the past, is too much standing around talking about shit and not enough doing. But it doesn't set a great precedence for the rest of the volume if this is all episode 1 was, but hopefully it's all out of the way now.
Yeah, I think it will be, especially because like at least with the way that everything is looking with the girls is they've defined the lines, why people are going where, and then from it's just forward. Like
even if those lines don't make any sense, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I will get there. But so I feel like it's like, okay, we've established what we need to establish, now let's go.
I feel like we both have very similar and yet very different criticisms for this episode, but very distinct criticisms as well. It was a okay premiere. It was a decent episode, but not a great premiere. It was just a bit boring, really, if I'm honest. And like, especially, you know, they build up so much hype before the volume starts, and then it starts like that, and it's like, oh, okay. It doesn't leave you very excited. Oh, yes, I do. Hang on. It doesn't leave you very excited. Is it BoopTube? Yep. For the rest of the volume, when like the beginning is like, and because it was such a long episode too, but it didn't feel long. Which was interesting considering it was a lot of conversation that it didn't drag. So I guess kudos for that, but like it ends and there's a long like black screen at the end, and then the intro rolls, and I was like, oh, that's it? Like, yeah, it's just a bit underwhelmed.
Because I told you though that when the episode ended, it felt like it had been a long time, but also I was like, oh, that's it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like, it felt like it had been a long time, but also like kind of not. Like I kind of felt like it flew by. But I don't know. It was
nothing happened.
That is kind of like it's because like I think that was why I had the feeling of, oh, that's it, is because not like all they had done is talk the whole time. So I was expecting like there to be some sort of little like nugget for like intrigue for the next episode. It
was a weird dichotomy, but it's one I'll keep rewatching probably. I've only seen the episode twice, and the second time was 10 minutes before we streamed. So I literally watched it when we reacted to it, and I was like, I'll watch it later, because normally Larissa and I will react and then we'll rewatch the episode immediately. Didn't this time, because I was like, I don't really want to rewatch that right now. I'll rewatch it later. And then it got to like half an hour before this stream, and I was like, I haven't rewatched it. I've forgotten everything that happened. Yeah. So I quickly scrolled my notes down. But yeah, it was just one of those that's like, it exists. I don't have any desire to rewatch this, but I have to because podcast.
Yeah. it reminds me a lot of the Volume 5 premiere
Mm.
in a lot of ways, and I was actually meaning to go back and rewatch that premiere just to be like, how much does it really like do? But I think that it's still a better. But that was about, yeah, exactly, Pishin, because that's what I was about to say is that Volume 5's premiere was like 25 minutes long,
Was
and this
it?
episode,
I don't think it
yeah,
was that long.
it was a long premiere if I remember
Bruh,
right.
chapter 3 of volume 6 was 25 minutes. That's the longest
Oh, it was
chapter ever made.
just 20?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was just 20, and there was intro as well.
true.
Yeah.
But I just like considering that this one kind of had the same feel but was shorter, means that they like conveyed the same amount of information in a shorter amount of time.
Controversial opinion, I think volume 5's premiere is better than this one.
Oh.
It's because stylistically and visually it was more interesting than this one. This one was literally people standing around having conversations for 20 minutes. And like volume 5 was that also, but at least they had the cutting in between different characters and storylines to keep it visually interesting. Whereas this one kind of did that, but in a bit more of a disjointed way, in that they were cutting to future shots in the middle of present conversation and stuff like that. And some of the cuts felt awkward, and some of the animation was a bit which I've written notes on as well. But I'm going to put a blanket forgiveness on animation this year because they've been working from home during a pandemic, so I will forgive them, but I do still need to point it out because it bothers me. Especially when it's the premiere and I'm already noticing like little things that kind of make me cringe a bit and go, oh, that wasn't very good. And like normally I don't see that till chapter 10 in a volume, but again, I can forgive the quality because of the circumstances.
Plus, it was also an episode of a lot of standing around and talking. So, like,
yeah,
you know,
there's not that much to focus on in this episode as far as animation is concerned. So, like, my first example was when Cinder and Neo are climbing up the steps at the start. That bird's eye view of them doing that, I was like, oh, the leg animation looks really weird. Like, it's I don't know how to even describe it. It's just off, and like. It was glaringly noticeable upon first viewing to me, but that's because that's the kind of thing that I look at. I found it interesting the way this episode opened with what we think might be Cinder. I mean, it's obviously Cinder, but like I don't want to say anything canonically when it, you know, we'll find out later, I'm sure. But
I mean, but like. I know it's all there. All the clues are there. Like she even has the same color eyes.
I still can't really get a good look at her eyes, but I'm gonna say that it's Cinder.
There's only like a second where you can kind of see her eyes clearly enough, because like when I was first watching the episode, I had the thought immediately of this is Cinder because Cinderella.
Yeah.
But I held back for a second because I was like, wait, what? Let me confirm this. And then I saw the like kind of fiery eye looking, her eye color, and I was like, oh, maybe it is her.
But it definitely looked on the very much like her. It was the symbolism in that transition for me that like I remember when we were filming our reaction, me and Larissa were both like, Cinder? Like we had the same thought simultaneously, and we were like, Supernatural. Oh, you don't even get me started on Supernatural. My God, I'll go off on a tangent. We're not talking about Supernatural today. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. So looks like they are teasing some sort of Cinder backstory, or this might just be like a complete red herring. And we don't actually get any more than that this volume. It wouldn't fucking surprise me. It's taken them 8 years already. Why the fuck would they delve into it now?
I mean, I think that I really do think that we will get Cinder backstory just because, like, I don't know, with her being reunited with Salem and like
reunited is a strong term, but yes.
But like it's not like in volume. Well, it's going to be kind of like with Volume 4, where like she spends the whole volume with Salem, but like this time it's going to be like they're actively doing stuff, and this is also now after Cinder has disappointed Salem, and just also some of like with Cinder's lines of being like, well, God, what did she say? Like,
I don't
I'm
know.
nothing without
She said
you.
a lot of things, and I wasn't listening.
Yeah, she said something along those lines, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna bring us back to something later. I also realize I'm on the wrong page of my notes.
Remedith, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the new bar.
Let's see, I have it in here. Oh, without you, I'm nothing. That's what she said.
Oh yeah. This whole thing at the start, this whole beginning scene. Again, I don't know how to describe it, but it just felt weird. Just like the pacing of this whole conversation was a bit weird. And I don't know what it is about it, but it's something was weird. Something wasn't working. And it's not to do with the content or the context of the conversation. I think it's a pacing problem, but like something about it just felt really odd. Something about this whole episode felt a bit odd, to be honest. But I don't know. I just found all of the talky really boring. So that might just be coming down to me being like, okay, that's nice. Can we get on with it now, please? Something is gonna happen, and it's done. But like, I really hope they don't do Cinder backstory this year, because at this point I'm so beyond not caring. It's not funny, and like to the point where now, like, if they do Cinder backstory, I feel like it's gonna be a waste of an episode in a very, very important volume. Possibly the most important volume of the entire show, bar volume 3. So I kind of hope that they don't, but I feel like they're going to. And at this point, I'm like, why hasn't this happened sooner? Then now it's 8 years in. I hate this character. I wish she would go the fuck away. And I don't care at this point where she came from or what her reasons are for doing anything, because I would just like her to be squished.
I know, but it's been one of their biggest criticisms for years now, with people being like, just tell us something about Cinder. Like, come on.
I know,
you told us way more about Salem than you have about Cinder. Like, I'm just kind of like, I want to know, just because I'm like, it, especially also if they tell us her backstory, they can kill her. Like,
exactly. I'm juxtaposed about it, because I don't give a shit about her backstory, but at the same time, if they tell us everything we need to know about the character, that means she'll die soon, because that's what happened to you know who. I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not gonna invoke that. But like, yeah, it's. I don't care, and I don't want to see it. But at the same time, if it's there, I'll be like, cool. She gonna die now, please? Okay, you're gonna make me sit through Cinder backstory, at least lop her head off, please, for God's sake. Also, Cinder is just a perpetual failure. And like, at this point, I don't know why Salem even really keeps her around. Like, just replace her with somebody else. And I have a feeling that's where Salem's mindset might be going as well.
I had a very similar thing, because I was talking with my sister about it, and I said I could see Salem like giving Neo more opportunities, but the difference is that Salem has some sort of power over Cinder that she doesn't with Neo right now, and I don't know if she will with Neo, because like that's the thing about Salem and her henchmen, is there's something about them that she can kind of like control, whereas like with Hazel, it's his hatred and her hatred for Ozpin, and with Tyrion, it's his devotion to her. With Watts, it's just purely the like spite and opportunity and honestly recognition for his genius.
Yeah, his ego definitely drives him.
And we don't, and with Cinder, it seems to be power. Like, she gets her nuggets of power, and she gives her like little things of self-worth, and like, but I know with Neo, the only person who I feel like could have done anything with Neo is Torchwick. and I don't see how Salem could like, unless Salem's like, I can give you him back, which I
don't see
I
how. Yeah.
I don't see how unless
She's
she
not a
uses
real
the staff
god.
of
She's just a
creation.
pretender. um, I don't hate Cinder to the same extent as Raven. I agree with you, Brandon. We're not gonna bring. I mean, we'll probably talk about Raven later because there's something in the intro that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, her days are definitely numbered, and she just constantly fails at everything that she does, and she couldn't even get the relic without fucking Neo's help, and then of course she takes all of the credit for it. Like anybody was shocked that she did that.
I know.
Except for Neo. Neo was like, "Excuse me, bitch? Do you have any idea what I went through to get that relic for you?" And I'm like,
Well, here's the thing. Salem's not fucking stupid. Salem knows.
Yeah, Salem's not an idiot. Yeah.
Salem knows Neo was the one that got it for her.
Absolutely.
And that what Cinder was actually doing was going after the maiden powers.
Can't pull the wool over Salem's eyes. She knows all. She is all knowing and all seeing. The shot. I'm just reading my notes. There's a shot where they have a close up on Salem's mouth when she says Cinder. They should never, ever, ever do close-ups of mouths in this show. That's just not a thing that they should ever do, because they don't look like real mouths, and it's weird to watch them move up close. It's just a little bit unsettling. Like, it's like watching a stop motion of, like, those, like, plasticine characters, like, those old, like, what was that show called? Space Chicken? I don't know. But like, why do they ever do this in RWBY? Because it's just awkward looking. I don't understand why they ever do these shots. And it's just like watching a close-up of some animated mouth with like teeth that are all one piece, and like it's odd. Don't do that. Don't do close-ups of mouths in this show. It doesn't work. It's just awkward to look at. Saw that in Volume 6 of Salem too. Yeah, I mean, I don't... Stop. We'll all be better for it if you don't do those shots, please.
But how else are you supposed to, portray how creepy she is?
Robot chicken, thank you, Panic. Yeah, but like it just doesn't work because of the style of the animation and the way that the mouths look. Because they don't have lips as well. Like, they don't have defined lips. They don't have defined individual teeth. It's just weird looking. It's just a whole opening and closing. And, like, it's just a close-up of that. With no context, you can't see, like, any definition on their faces, so it just looks really weird, and I wish they would not do that. It's, like, almost makes me shiver with how weird it looks. Emerald, Mercury, and Hazel, I'll get there. They all got redesigns that we need to talk about. You don't like emeralds, and I do.
I just think
okay, here we go.
I just think it's a little too white for her style.
But it was white before.
I
don't understand this argument you have.
But like, it's just...
Ow.
It just... I know, because before she looked kind of... I mean, like, obviously before she kind of had, like, the sort of cowboy thing going on with,
Kind of.
But, like, I don't know. Now it's just... I wish that there was more green or more brown or something else than just so much white.
I think she looks fine as hell. My bisexual heart sings looking at Emma. Almost called her Emery again. Emerald! Her name is M. I'm just gonna call her M. On that note, you like Mercury's. I do not.
Well, I mostly like Mercury's.
I think his is lazy. I just think...
I think it's just too high fashion is the thing where I'm just kind of like, why is he like so done up?
All three of them are really high fashion, and it is a bit weird. I agree with you on that. Like, they don't look like they look like super villains, but in that like done up way that like we're evil, but we're fashionable too. It's like why? But like I love Emeralds so much. Mercury's I think is just lazy and boring, to be perfectly honest. And it almost looks like Mercury's was an afterthought to Emerald's. I do find it interesting though that those two are very similar. Like they both have the leather jackets, the like biker style leather jackets, and like they look more like a pair than they did before, which is interesting. But I just think that Mercury's is like his old one, but now he has a biker jacket. And it's not any better. No. It's not any better. I didn't like the one he had before anyway, and now I like this one even less somehow.
But he looks warmer.
He does look warmer. I will grant you that. But he also looks boring. like he is the one out of the trio with the least fashion sense. He's got a gray biker jacket. Why
his would be the least different. Is just give me a jacket.
Who wears a grey biker jacket, though? It looks weird. I do like the orange accents, Brandon. I agree with you there. But I just think the jacket is letting the whole ensemble down. Definitely. Hazel. We need to talk about the side abs.
Yeah, I brought this up to you and you couldn't unsee it, and I'm so sorry.
It triggers my trypophobia. Like, legitimately, I couldn't look at it because it was making me feel gross. I hate that. I hate it so much. I hate everything about Hazel except for his hair, because apparently he has a ponytail.
I really like his hair, but the thing that I'm having issues with him is that like I know that Hazel is like buff, and we've seen him shirtless before during Volume 5, the Volume 5 finale, but we only saw him shirtless after he'd injected himself full of lightning dust. And so like it makes sense why he would be super like because he's pumped the fuck up on super steroids.
Yes.
But like he's just standing there and he's so ripped, and it's just weird to me where I'm like, you shouldn't be this ripped.
It's odd.
It's too much.
It's too much. It's too. He
was
looks
it not
like,
shirtless?
It wasn't completely shirtless.
Was it only like the arms?
I mean, he ripped his sleeves off. I don't really remember. I've blocked most of the second half of Volume 5 out of my memory.
Honestly, same.
He's an actual brick shit house. That's so true. His obliques look like bricks. I hate them. I literally, like, every time I think about it, I'm, like, shuddering internally, because I can't, it triggers me so hard. I don't like the squareness, yes, I agree, of his shirt thing that's going on. I don't like how much side abs are poking out. I like his hair. I didn't really get a great look at the rest of his outfit because I took one look at it and I was like,
They posted a thing on Twitter of it.
I did see that
was looking at earlier. The bottom is not that much different.
I mean, it's bog standard. But, like, I like the ponytail. That's cool. I just don't know how he grew so much hair so quickly. Like, it has not been that long since the last time we saw him. Hasn't he
always had a ponytail? Am I confused? I thought he always kind of had.
No, he's had like longish hair, but not that long. That's really long. Because it's like a ponytail, but it's folded up on itself. So really, his hair is like as long as mine. And I'm like, how did he grow so much hair in that time? It's only been one volume since we saw him last. I think, yeah. It'd look less weird if the obliques weren't visible. Yes, it would. It would look less weird if that detail wasn't there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and the concept art looks better than it does in show, which happens a lot.
Yeah. I also, the thing that confuses me most is like that Emerald and Mercury got like they got upgrades that made them prepare for a colder climate. Whereas he decided to come to battle sexy.
I know. Like, he shed clothes.
I'm like, I was like, if he had this outfit but still retained a jacket, and like the jacket could come off in a fight, would make perfect sense to me. But like, Why? He had a jacket. They could just leave the jacket and give him the new under thing.
I don't know. I don't understand it. Sorry, the SFX are off, Larissa. I'm doing a podcast. I don't want fucking music going off in my ears every 10 seconds.
God.
Oh my god. There, we'll do
I'll
them
do
for you. We'll do them for you. Yeah, he shed clothes. But again, and I have this problem with Cinder's fucking outfit as well. I love Cinder's outfit. I think it's awesome. It should have been in the Vacuo arc. Why the fuck is it in the Atlas one? It doesn't make any sense. She's in the coldest place in Remnant. Where are your pants? Like, literally, woman. She's wearing shorts and a tank top, for God's sake.
Women can be sexy in pants, like...
Leather pants would be amazing on Cinder. She's worn them before and they were amazing. In Volume 2. Mm-hmm. That outfit was fire. Where is that?
That one.
I mean, this one's very
similar. It was
similar.
actually fire.
This one's very similar to that one, which is, I think, why I like it so much. But it's in the wrong arc. It should have been in the Vacuo arc, not this one. Because now, like... It's just... And, like, it annoyed me at the end of Volume 6? Yeah, when, like, Neo and Cinder showed up in these new outfits. And I'm like, these are awesome. But you realize you're going to Atlas, right? Like, what are you going to do when you get there? Change? Like, and then they didn't. And I was like, that somehow makes less sense. I don't know what's going on with that. She could have even had, like, stockings or some other thin, like, yeah, at least they even gave Weiss tights when it was getting cold. And it's like, welcome to Arizona fashion, Cinder, where we wear shorts and tank tops when it's cold.
I mean, but that's the thing though, is it doesn't get cold here. Like,
no, it doesn't snow.
Yeah, I mean, in some places.
Well, sometimes, but yeah, I mean, well, it snows here as well, so like, but yeah, I mean, I love the outfit. Like, it doesn't belong in Atlas.
Yeah, but like that thing is like they're literally talking about like without aura right now, people are going to freeze to death in like that's how cold it is in Atlas.
Yeah,
and this bitch, like, granted, she has fire powers, which I think is kind of what they're going for, is like, she has fire powers. She doesn't need to stay warm.
That's such a lame argument, because what's Hazel's deal then?
Exactly. And like, or the argument is that, well, but she has aura, so she'll be fine. It's like she won't freeze to death.
There are tiny things about a lot of the Atlas outfits that bother me, like Yang's like exposure here. Like, why is this area always exposed? This is one of the areas in your body where you lose the most heat. And like, why are you exposing this when it's snowing outside? It doesn't make any sense. Blake's the only one that I can think of that like has appropriate full coverage for the weather, except she's not wearing gloves, but I mean, whatever. But like, yeah, Hazel and Cinder and Neo's outfit doesn't make much sense for the weather either. Like, all her shoulders are out. I'm like, bitch, you must be freezing. Yeah, I mean, the outfits, I get that they look good, but it's snowing. And like, that's the one thing about Emeralds that bothers me, is that her entire midriff is out. And I'm like, oh my god. Like,
and I think that's where some of my issue with hers comes up as well. Whereas like, because I was looking at Mercury's first when I was like trying to like figure out my opinion on it. And I was like, okay, well, he looks warm. So you know what? Like, this makes sense. And then I looked at Emerald's and I'm like, she put on a jacket, but like, she still got so much exposed skin.
Yeah. Her whole midriff is just hanging out there, and I'm like, you could have easily made this jacket full length, and it would have still been fire. But like, why? Like, it's like, oh, people in Remnant don't feel the cold, unless it's convenient for the plot.
Exactly, unless you're plebeians.
Exactly. I actually hate Blake's outfit the most. Damn zippers. Don't diss the zippers. Do not talk shit about Blake's outfit. It's the best in the show right now. How fucking dare you? She looks amazing.
I forgot to like look at her new hair more closely and see.
Oh, it's so fluffy. It's so pretty. I love it so much.
I feel like we just didn't see a lot of Blake in this episode, so I didn't have enough time to be like,
I love it. It looks so
'Cause I
much
feel like she was
fucking
in like
better.
3 shots
It's
or
so
something.
good. It's way better than it was before. It was so flat before, and now it's like so like poofy and fluffy, and I love it so much. Kind of reminds me of Casey Lee Williams' hair actually, when she got her haircut a while back. Um, it's so pretty now. It's so much better, and they fixed Weiss's hair as well. I do like the new braid in certain angles. Some angles it looks a little weird. Most angles it looks better than it did. I didn't have that much of a problem with it before, but like a lot of people did. So I mean, it's good that they changed it. I think it does look better from most angles. But Blake's especially, oh, so gorgeous, so fluffy, love it. I never had much issue with it to begin with. Weiss's hair, yeah. I mean, Blake's was, ugh, but it's much better now. I've got in my notes, why do I still love Tyrion? He killed Clover. Every time Tyrion's on screen, I just revel in him. And I think it's because I love Josh Grelly so much. But, like, I just revel in Tyrion's character. I love him so much. And every time he's on screen, I'm like, I love you so much. And then I have to be like, wait a minute, he's a terrible person. He's done horrible things. Why do I love this character so much? And I think it's because he's deliciously evil and he's played so well. Is that I can't help but, like, love watching him on the screen.
Yeah. When Tyrion first showed up in this episode, I realized just how much I had repressed chapter 12.
I know!
Because when he first showed up, my first response was, "Oh, Tyrion, what are you doing here?" As if he hadn't been in Atlas last season. Like
we've just completely like that didn't happen. Moving on.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, "Oh, right, of course he's here. Like he was here before. Like, oh yeah, duh." And I had to be like, "Ooh, whoops."
I remember like watching the episode the first time when I was doing my reaction, having this internal war with myself. And I didn't say any of it out loud because like I was like so internally like, oh, Tyrion, I love you. What are you doing? He buried the gay. Stop it. But like I just love his character. He is a way better villain than Cinder is. He's so much more interesting to watch. He's utterly psychotic.
I think that's what it is. It's because Cinder, like, they try to make Cinder like seem crazy, but they just are like, but she's sexy crazy, whereas Tyrion's just batshit crazy.
Cinder is sexy crazy. You're right about that. Like, Cinder's a problem.
But they don't do it well, though. Is the problem?
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that from the beginning they didn't really set her character up well. I mean, her character was so much better in volumes 1 to 3 than it is now. Now she's just kind of like a whiny bitch, and she just is awful at everything. Whereas before she was actually scary and formidable, and she was more powerful then than she is now, which is weird. And like then she was able to like kill Oz, for goodness sake. She was like scary powerful, and Pyrrha, not to mention. And she was deliciously evil, and she was sexy, and she's lost that along the way somewhere. And I think that mostly happened in volume 4 and 5. But yeah, let's not get into that topic. Let's just put a lid on that right away. We talked about that plenty last volume. But Tyrion is simple, effective serial killer with a few screws loose in the head. All of the screws are loose.
He lost all of his screws a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. He put all of his screws into one jar, and that jar is Salem.
Yeah, exactly.
But that sounds weird when I say it like that. Weird. But, you know, I just love him. And I'm annoyed with myself that I love him so much because he's terrible. He's a terrible, terrible person. Anything else about that beginning scene? Because I didn't really write much down.
The only other thing I have in mind is that Cinder talked about like going after the Winter Maiden powers, and Salem was like, "I didn't give that order." And so it's a thing where it's like, I'm curious because does Salem actually want there to be just the one maiden, or does she still want to have 4 maidens, or does she not care as long as she doesn't even give a shit about the maidens? She just actually needs them to get into the vaults.
Yeah,
And
I think it's the latter. I think that she doesn't actually care in the end as long as she gets the relics. And like she's made Cinder all these promises about like talking about her being the vessel for the maidens and like promising Cinder that she'll have all this power just to manipulate her. I think is the whole thing about that.
Yeah.
Is that she doesn't actually give a shit at the end of the day as long as the relics are in her hands. Salem's basically is putting Cinder on the back burner for now. Oh, yeah. I mean, Cinder's useless and Salem knows it. So Salem's going to dispose of Cinder the second she stops being the least bit useful to her. And it's like she says, just because you're more valuable to me than a pawn doesn't make you a player. It's like, bitch, I will dispose of you.
Yeah,
if you force my hand, I will. As Cinder's just got way too big of a head, and like Salem's made her all of these promises just to manipulate her, and she's too much of an idiot to notice that that's what's happening. She's just so focused and power hungry that she's gonna do whatever she can to obtain that power because Salem promised me. Like, bitch, you know you're talking about Salem, right? She doesn't exactly have a great track record for keeping promises, according to what we've heard. And you can only trust Salem to do one thing, and that is serve herself. So,
yeah.
And I think some of the people that serve her are very much aware of that, and some of them aren't. So, they're just focused on their own, like, agendas.
I also thought about Cinder snapping at Emerald when Emerald came running up to her.
I'm just waiting for Emerald to have some self-respect for once and go, you know what? Fuck this. I'm sick of you treating me this way. Bye.
I hope that will happen this volume.
I hope it will happen at all.
True. But also I'm kind of like, it would have to be, like, there would have to be a defeat of enough, like, a strong enough defeat of Salem here for, like, Emerald to come to the realization that, like, she can be defied and then, like, defy her. But I just feel like that's probably not what we're going to get this volume, purely because they are going to be setting something up for basically the Second Great War in Vacuo. So it kind of just doesn't make sense if the villains all were to, like, you know,
jump ship,
leave Salem right now. Because granted, somebody has to die from the villains. Somebody. Preferably 2 or 3.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, I mean, we have not seen enough of the volume's direction to have any fucking idea where this is going yet. I feel like this is the biggest wildcard volume so far, because we have it now with the context of Volume 3. We know how bad things can get. And they have the potential to get even worse here. So, and, like, we lost how many characters in Volume 3? Like, 4? 3? 4? I don't remember how many altogether.
Well, I mean, we lost Penny and Pyrrha.
Penny, Pyrrha, Torchwick. Anyone else?
Torchwick. No, I think those were the big 3.
Yeah. I mean, and also terrible things happen to... Oh, Amber! That's the other one.
Amber.
Terrible things happen to several of the other cast. So, yeah, I mean, we know that that's the bar. And we know that here, they're going to try and step over that bar. So, I mean, they have to. If they want to make Volume 8 bigger, more impressive, I guess, than Volume 3. Because that's where the standard is.
I'm so afraid of that, though.
I know, me too. I'm afraid of it and also excited for it because RWBY hasn't been that interesting since Volume 3. Like, in terms of throwing the rulebook out the window and being like, oh, we've made a happy-go-lucky show for 2 volumes. Now it's time for everybody to die. And it's it's like...
So worried about, like, how dark are we gonna get this volume? Well, like, I hope that, especially just with the year 2020 has been, I'm like, can they give us a little bit of hope? Like, can we have, like, at least with Volume 3, where we had the, like, you know, the, like, nice 6 episodes before things got bad? Can
what
we,
a
like,
year
have that?
for the Fall of Atlas, right? After 2020, I don't know how much more we can all take. Yeah, and so many more at the school that happened out of shot. Yeah, we've heard about a lot of people dying, but 2 days of utter shit show, go big or go home. Yeah, we know that there are things that people on the writing, animating team, and all of that are very excited about in this volume. Neith was talking about episodes 8 and 9 in particular. So I think there's something that he was involved in that he is very excited for. So obviously something to do with Ren.
Dying.
Don't say that. I think Nora's gonna die, not Ren.
It's gonna be one or the other.
Listen, I one of two things. The intro is foreshadowing, or it's misleading.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of foreshadowing in the intro about Nora and Ren and how divided they are this volume. Which is really annoying because they finally just started to work shit out last year, and now obviously nobody's allowed happiness on this show. We're never going to sleep again, I just know it. Yeah, imagine December 2020 being the whale grim. God. But yeah, I'm excited for the show to go.
We gave him a name, or the fandom gave him a name.
Yeah, they named him, but I don't remember what it was. I forgot. If somebody in the chat knows, put it in.
Richard.
It's not Richard.
Yes, it is. It's Richard.
Is it?
Because it's Dick.
Oh, Moby Dick. Right. Richard.
Uh-huh.
I thought there was another Grimm that had the name Richard. Monstruo is what Ruby refers to them as. I think that's the Grimm type, for want of a better word, is Monstro. Ha, Dick. God. How old are you? What were we talking about? Yeah, the show hasn't been that dark since Volume 3, so it's going to be nice to... Well, not nice. It's going to be interesting to see it go to those points, knowing that it can go there. Because when Volume 3 happened, we didn't know what was going to happen and what was coming. Now we know that that's where the show can go, and we're a little bit more prepared for it this time. And also, Volume 7 ended in a pretty dark place as well. So, I mean...
I also think that, like this season will be darker, but, like... I mean, obviously stuff's gonna happen to our main characters, but I think it's going to also be a lot of, like, more worldly darkness stuff. Like, I mean, we all suspected this last volume, and we're really, really fully seeing it now, is Ironwood's fall into authoritarianism. And, like, you know, I mean, granted, it takes place over 2 days, so I don't know how much they can portray of authoritarianism in that time.
Oh my god, yeah. The fact that this whole volume takes place over 2 days scares the shit out of me. That is 48 hours of real time. And that's like, how are you going to stretch 14 episodes over 48 hours of real time? That's insane. I don't know how they're going to pull it off.
Yeah. And then, like, the other thing I think is just, like, and, you know, we'll get into this in a second, like, they're moving Mantle underneath
into the crater.
Atlas, into the crater. And we all know Atlas is going to fall.
It's gonna fall.
So I'm like, that could also be the darkness of the event, is, like, literally a mass casualty event with Atlas, like, killing a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, Team RWBY being forced to make a choice of, like, you know, because can you imagine if they had to make the choice of, like, do we use the staff to raise Amity but crush, you know, the crater and Mantle? And, like, that could just be, that in itself could just be a really dark thing, with them having to, like, make this choice where they know people are going to die. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, no wonder they're all stressed out and need a breather episode. Well, I mean, they didn't get much of a breather, so I have a feeling the rest of the volume they're not going to get any time to slow down.
Yeah, I have that in my notes as well, Pishin, that I'm like, because Weiss's line about we're never going to sleep, are we? I'm like, yeah, because literally the events of chapters 8 through 13, I think, of last volume took place over the course of, like, a night.
Yeah. like
and
6 hours,
the
probably.
entirety of this volume is going to take place over the course of
2 days.
2 days. So it's like these girls are never gonna sleep.
They're never sleeping again. It's literally the entire second half of the volume. Yeah, exactly.
It's not the entire second half because I think I rewatched it with Sid the other day, and I think it's episode 7 is the one that ends with the invitation to the dinner party, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 and 13 are dinner party through everything.
I don't remember, to be perfectly honest. Something like that.
Was it? No, because
No,
6 was
7 was the episode before the break, wasn't it? I don't know. Was it the episode before the break? Midway, yeah, it was midway. Yeah, so 7 was the start of the Shani party.
7 was that, yeah, because right, because okay, yeah, you're right, it was 7.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Because it like was halfway through the Shani party, and then we had a week break, and like nothing really happened in episode 7. I remember now. Yeah. They left it with what, shutting off power, and then stewed for a week. No.
Yeah.
No.
Was that how?
No, they didn't. No.
Yes, it was.
No.
Because that was the episode where Weiss talked to her mom.
That was 7.
And that was the. Yeah, isn't that what we're talking about?
No, he's saying that 8 was the break episode.
Oh.
Yeah, no, 7 was the break episode, and the shutting off the power didn't happen till 8, I think.
No, that was the end of chapter 7.
Was it?
Because then 8's the one where Weiss comes in and arrests her dad.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yep. No, Pishin is right. That's that's where it ended. Episode 7 was really short too, I think.
Yeah.
So it was like 12 minutes or something. It was pretty short.
Yeah.
What were we talking about before we got derailed onto the?
We were talking about bad things.
Bad
Lots
things.
of bad. So I don't remember.
Yeah, dark things are gonna happen this volume.
I just hope that they give us some little just give us some bits of happiness. Like that's why I'm worried about the way they've divided the groups, because I'm like, ooh, we're not even gonna get like cute Bumblebee moments to be like aw about, and we're not gonna get cute Renora moments to be like aw about. Like,
speaking of the division of the groups, we need to talk about this because
true.
I have one very glaring big problem with this, and it's Yang. My problem is Yang. Because Yang famously has been a character who constantly talks about how I'll always follow Ruby's lead. Ruby always knows the right thing to do. I'll always trust my sister this, my sister that, blah, 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 blah. And now suddenly here, she's like, well, Ruby, you've kind of led us into, like, the end of the world here, so, like, peace out, bye, I'm not listening to you anymore. And it's so out of character for her to, like, say the things that she said in the episode.
I wish that they had chosen better words for that conversation, because it sounded like she was blaming Ruby for 100%. Everything that was happening. And I was like, bitch, where?
Literally not a single thing that went wrong in Volume 7 was Ruby's fault. It was all completely out of her control, and she was doing the right thing and objectively, and the best thing that she could do with the circumstances. So for Yang to suddenly swing around and be like, well, this is kind of your fault because we were following your lead and everything's gone to shit. Yeah, everything went shit because of Ironwood. Because he's a dick.
Like, literally the only decision I can see that Ruby made wrong, and I completely just think this was the right decision, is she didn't tell Ironwood about everything in chapter 2. But, like, she waited until she trusted him and told him later, and he reacted fine to that at first. It was just once Salem showed up and got all woogity in his head where he was like, everything's bad and I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
can you imagine, though, if they had gone up to Ironwood in chapter 2 and laid all of that crap on him right away? Everything that happened later in the volume would have just happened then. Like,
Yeah.
regardless of anything that they said to him, this was always going to happen because this is in his character. And this is who he is at the end of the day. He's completely lost it. And that was inevitable. That was always going to happen regardless of when they shared information with him. Being careful wasn't the wrong thing to do because they live in a world now where they're a part of this inner circle and they do not know who they can trust. And as it turns out, they couldn't trust Ironwood. So, not to do the right thing, anyway. I wanted to punch her in the face. She was being an idiot in that scene. It was driving me crazy. And also, yes, Yang is a hypocrite. Yang has been a hypocrite more than once about, like, we should tell people the truth. You didn't tell people that your mother is a spring maiden, first of all. Second of all, you went behind everybody's back and trusted Robin, exactly. And then when that came out at the wrong moment, that was far more damaging than anything RWBY had done towards Ironwood's trust.
I mean, even I didn't think at that point it didn't make any difference.
It didn't make any difference. But he was way more upset about that than he was about anything else.
And I don't think she openly disagreed with RWBY's decision to keep those things from Ironwood. I think she was just like, RWBY, are you sure you've thought this through?
Yeah.
Like, that was more the impression I got of that conversation they had in chapter 3.
When they had that conversation too, Yang was like looking for clarification and was like, are we really not going to tell him? And RWBY said, no, we will, just not yet. And it's like, then when they did tell him, it was, he actually took it well to begin with. And then one little thing went to shit and it was all over from there. But like, for Yang to say those things to RWBY after how much she craps on about how good RWBY is at making the right choice is just off. That whole thing for Yang felt really off.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Yang's the one who isn't thinking it through, though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for, like, I understand Yang's perspective here, where she's like, we made a commitment to save Mantle, and we should stick that through. Like, we're better than Ironwood. You know, we should save them. Whereas RWBY is like, yes, but isn't our more, like, we can save Mantle, or we could try to warn the world. Like,
well,
like,
RWBY,
wouldn't it be more...
RWBY is an anti-saving Mantle, though. She's like, there's a bigger picture here. We need to get this done now because we can't save Mantle on our own. And Yang's like, well, fuck you. Yes, we can. And it's like, bitch, no, you can't. Do you see the size of the Force out the window?
I mean, but I also understand Yang's point, though, where she's saying, even if this works, who's to say help comes? Like, you know?
They've got to try regardless. Help won't come if they don't call for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and I think the other thing is that I didn't think about initially was that, like, RWBY isn't, like, their original plan was to make it so Salem couldn't hide in the shadows anymore. And now they've realized Salem has no intention of hiding.
No.
And so now they need to straight up just warn the world she's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
RWBY says that as well.
And that's what,
Even, like, Blake was agreeing with RWBY, Nora was agreeing with RWBY, Oscar's kind of neutral on the whole thing, but he goes with RWBY anyway. But, like...
No, he goes with Yang.
Does he?
Yeah, Oscar goes with Yang.
Oh, I thought he went with RWBY. Who else goes with RWBY? Weiss does. Who didn't say anything on the whole topic, but, like, I mean, she makes her thoughts clear by not saying anything, I guess. Yeah, Jean and Oscar supported both ideas. Yeah, exactly. Jean ever the mediator. But yeah, Yang was pissing me off in that scene. She just was behaving like a spoiled brat. Really, is how it came across.
I completely understand Yang's perspective. I just wish she had voiced her frustrations or her feelings on everything without seeming to blame RWBY. When RWBY did nothing wrong. And, like, she is RWBY's #1 supporter. Like, she raised that girl. And for her to be like, I'm sorry, RWBY, but, like, you led us down this path is like, what?
Yeah, when she said that, I was like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, it's completely out of character for her to say that. And, like, they should have worded that differently. Because it just came across as like, what the fuck, Yang? Like, as if you would say that to RWBY. Like, she just wouldn't. And it was it's just weird that they chose to script that way. Yeah, Ren and Nora, well, that's the thing. Ren and Nora butt heads on stuff quite a bit.
Yeah.
And like,
it's really interesting though to see how they kind of almost flipped ideology, because, and I think Ren even called Nora out on this, was like, you were so for saving Mantle before, and now Nora's like, but there's more people to save. Yeah. Like, you know,
and Nora's like, well, I'm saving Mantle. I'm going to save Mantle by doing this, because she was saying that I believe that we can actually pull this off. But yeah, it is interesting how they have seemed to flip around like that, like you said. But yeah, RWBY did nothing wrong. Yeah, exactly. Why the fuck is RWBY copping the blame? Like, literally everything that has gone wrong is because of choices that other people around her made. And it's like, she, yes, chose to keep information from Ironwood, but she did give that information to him once she thought she could trust him. And he took that relatively well. It was other things outside of her control that happened that changed that. Ren didn't even flip all that much. His worldview is kind of getting tested super hard. Ren is weird to me because he feels already very different to how he felt in Volume 7.
And that's something I hope they kind of explore this volume, is the way that, like, he put so much trust in James and control, like, last volume, and now he watched it all blow up in his face, and now I feel like he's almost overcorrecting, and that's why he went where he did, because he's like, fuck, I should have fought I should have stood by Nora. Nora was right.
Yeah.
Like, and now that's probably part of why his confusion is he's like, we're saving Mantle. That's what Nora said to do. And Nora's not agreeing. And he's like, I'm sure he's like, but this is the right thing to do. What are you doing? Like,
I find it interesting, the different characters' reasonings, aside from Yang, because she makes no sense, but the different characters' reasonings for why they want to do which option. And Jean's right. It's like, okay, if we can't agree, we'll do both. And it's like, we have the numbers to do both. Let's do both. And then RWBY kind of saying, like, well, we should stick together. Is like, no, we don't have time. We don't have time to stick together. You have to split up and try and do both at the same time, or you're not going to be able to do either, really. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You've got to have multiple backup plans for, you got to have plan A through Z already worked out. Oscar and Jean were neutral. Why the fuck did Oscar call Jean John?
I know.
Bothers me.
John's right. And I'm like, who?
His name is Jean. It's always been Jean. Why did you say John? That's so weird. I don't know why he did that. Blake was always big picture. Weiss didn't contribute. Nora and Red made sense. Yeah. I
wish Weiss had contributed, because, like, while I fully understand why story reasons they put her up in Atlas, I'm like, but, like, I want to know why she went there. Like, everybody else kind of threw in their 2 cents about why they're going where they're going, except Weiss, and I'm just like, tell me. Like,
Weiss is more of an internal...
giving us all this info anyway.
She's more of an internal person, though. She doesn't really, like, emote her thoughts as much as the others do. So she's probably, like, there's a lot going on internally, but she didn't say anything because she either doesn't know how she feels about it yet, or she couldn't contribute anything to the discussion. She also just doesn't really like arguments and confrontation that much. She always steps back when there's, like, butting heads going on. Unless she's the one doing the headbutting. But Blake makes sense. Like, and also the fact that Blake has always been the one, aside from Yang, to back RWBY up and always to say, RWBY will follow your lead. So for her to go with RWBY on this makes sense, because she's always, like, been like, I trust RWBY. RWBY will make the right decision. Yang used to be, apparently not anymore. But yeah, I feel like
this is supposed to be, they're working off that idea that came up during volume really came up during Volume 5,
Mm.
where like, question things. Don't stop asking questions. And like I feel like that started off as a positive and has almost flipped her a little too far in that direction, where now she's questioning people she trusts. And like, it's one thing when Raven says don't trust Oz, he's lying to you, and then they find out he's lying because like you never trusted Oz anyway, but you trusted Ruby, and so you were gonna say, okay, Ruby, I'm gonna follow you. And then when all that came out, Ruby said bye bitch to Oz.
Yeah.
And like, but now it's like you're just randomly deciding, I don't trust you anymore, Ruby. Like,
yeah, and
I mean, that's not exactly what it is, but
out of absolutely nowhere, when like literally like 2 episodes ago we saw Yang like consoling Ruby when Salem upset her, and like between then and now Yang's suddenly not on the Ruby train anymore. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't understand what their reasoning is for scripting it like that. But
they could have found they just should have found like better ways to have
way
that
to word it.
About it, just straight up, like, just let it be a thing where Yang is like, no, I have to help these people. Like, even if it's that, like, that is better than being like, Ruby, you got us into the situation, or
because she literally didn't.
We were following your lead, and look where it got us. And it's like,
it feels...
if she had just said that, like, I'm sorry, Ruby, but I have to do this, like, okay, perfect.
Okay.
You're sticking to what you got, like...
Yeah. But there's, like, bullshit about blaming Ruby for shit that isn't her fault is just dumb, and Yang just wouldn't do that. I don't get this. But, I also feel like they're just splitting up Bumblebee and Renora to create drama as well.
Yeah.
They had to have a reason why they would split up, because they want to create tension and drama between the two romantic pairs. And it's just fucking annoying. Like, we see what you're doing. We're not idiots.
I'm also so disappointed that, like, we don't get to see Blake down there, because, like, we saw with Oscar in the crater that, like, it's full. Like, I mean, they call it the slums. Like, it is full of mine workers who are all Faunus.
Faunus, yeah.
Like, so it would have been so interesting to see Blake go there and have some sort of, like, maybe actually do some stuff with this brotherhood that they made up at the end of Volume 5 that has just gone away. Like, do something with her being a Faunus and, like, a leader to the Faunus, instead of just giving up on that entirely.
I'm hoping that will show up later in the volume, because I do think they're actually going to be successful in calling for help. Wouldn't it be funny, though, if the Faunus were the only ones that came to help them? Typical. Yeah, I do like the different groups that they've formed. I like the prospect of the interactions we're going to have between these characters. But their reasoning for a couple of them doesn't make any sense, especially Yang. What are you staring at so intensely?
I was just reading chat. I missed a couple of things here.
Yeah. It is going to be nice to see the interactions between these groups, because they're interesting groups of characters. But, and we've seen before that Ren and Yang in particular do have a much closer friendship than we thought that they did. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see all of these characters interact with each other, for sure. But I just don't like that a big part of the reason why they've done it this way is because they want to create drama and tension between Bumblebee and Renora. And it's like, it's not like, we can tell that that's what they're doing. Rainbow and Joyride. What the fuck? Okay.
I'm just gonna call them Team Mantle and Team Atlas.
Sure. But yeah, I'll be interested to see that sort of split going forward in the story.
I am also, one thing I was talking about with Sydney is, like, it is interesting the group they have in Mantle because like it makes sense Yang working with the Happy Huntresses because like I feel like they're you know 8 peas in a pod. And like and then having Jean and Ren together, like we saw them during the evacuation of Mantle last volume, like their semblances work really well together. And can you imagine if Jean amplifies like both Ren and May's semblances? Like they could keep a massive population of people hidden from Grimm.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's something Jean is capable of doing.
Who knows? If Ren helps him out, he might be able to, yeah. But I saw one person on Twitter, I don't remember who it was, being like, well, they're going to go do this, but who's going to go rescue Crow and Robin? I was like, Crow and Robin are going to rescue Crow and Robin. Don't you worry about them. They're fine. They will find a way to break themselves out.
I mean, also, like, they say that the destination that Team Atlas is going for is the military, like it's the main military compound.
Yeah.
You don't think that like
they'll run into them at some point.
Like I can't imagine that it's going to be like that far off for where Ironwood's keeping his political prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because at the very least we know from the teaser or maybe it was the actual trailer that Watts and Jacques are in adjacent jail cells.
Yeah.
So, like, who's to say that Crow and Robin aren't in the same cell block?
I saw some people say that the two guards in that scene have similar skin colors to Crow and Robin, but I think that's reaching.
That's really reaching.
Especially because if it was them, I feel like it'd be a little more obvious than having similar skin colors. Also, like, yeah, I just think it's reaching. I hope Robin is likable this volume because she's currently on my shit list. Robin's one of those characters that flips back and forth for me from likable to unlikable. Like,
I've always liked Robin.
Sometimes she annoys me, sometimes I like her. For now, though, she remains punchable to me. She does have a very punchable face, I will give you that. She does!
I like her. I like her.
Listen,
also,
I'm still on the fence.
I did also bring up this idea to you, I think it was to you, that, like, the whole idea of having Crow and Robin together when they're accused of this crime is so fucking stupid because, like, Crow and Robin could just do the semblance thing and she could be like, hey, Crow, did you kill Clover? And he could be like, no, Green.
I know, right?
Did Tyrion kill Clover? Yes, Green. Congratulations.
I know, right?
Let me out of jail.
And if they don't do that, I'll be so mad and I feel like they won't do it because it's so obvious and like it would just solve the problem immediately. Or like Ironwood would find some way to still be like, nah, you're tricking me because he's an idiot. But I still blame her for almost all of the Volume 7 Chapter 12 stuff.
I don't.
Why? She was unconscious.
Well, because she... she started the fight in the airship before it crashed.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she did. Listen.
Like, I don't blame her for that.
I don't blame her for that either. I would have reacted the same way.
She had just heard that Ironwood was leaving Mantle to die, and this man was going to arrest people who were trying to help, and she was like, bitch, no, you are not leaving my people.
Yeah, she's like, bitch, try and take me alive. I fucking dare you.
I blame Clover for a lot of what happened in Chapter 12,
what an
honestly.
Idiot. All three of them were being so stupid in that, like, well, maybe not Robin, because she was unconscious for most of it. But, she was useless. She's just useless in general. But,
yeah.
she's just kind of useless. But, like, Crow and Clover were being so stupid the whole way through that. And, like, we talked about this last year, but it just wanted to shake them and be like, what are you doing? Stop it! Somebody's gonna get killed. And, of course. But, yeah, it looks like he underestimated me again. Instantly face plants. I mean, so far, she hasn't really shown a lot of aptitude, rather. The only time she's been remotely helpful is during the LGB versus T fight, and even then, she didn't do much. She held her own against Blake and Yang, but they weren't trying to kill her, so all she's really done is be useless and get knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
And
I hope that she doesn't spend too long in jail this
yeah,
volume,
please
especially.
don't drag this out. I really hope they like just break him out straight away.
Yeah, because I really want to see like the only I see. I don't know, maybe not like the end of this volume, but maybe the start of volume 9. Like I see Robin running Atlas Mantle, because like I see her running the academy, and I see her being the uniting force of what they need to bring Atlas together.
I agree.
And so like I hope that they give us some time, like give us a significant amount of time with her this volume, of seeing her like trying to unite people, and not just saving Mantle, but like just trying to be like, you know, even potentially like leading an uprising in Atlas. Like,
if there's anything of Atlas left by the time this is all said and done.
Well, I mean, before, like in these 2 days, like.
Oh God, is there like, time for that though?
Well, I mean, if she gets out of jail fast enough, but like they did evacuate a significant amount of Mantle up there. Like she can lead the Mantle people in Atlas, as well as I'm sure that there are some Atlesians who will be like, "This is a coup, a military coup, down with Ironwood."
Yeah, people hate a military coup. Especially when he's keeping all of his like plans to himself. I don't necessarily think all of the people in Atlas will be super cool with leaving all of Mantle to die either. There will be some of them that will be fine with it, but some of them won't. And a lot of them will probably be on the fence about it. I mean, it's only going to take one spark to set shit off in Atlas at this point.
I mean, the only other thing though is Atlas is afraid, because there's this big grim invasion, and you know James is gonna be like, "I will keep you safe. You hear my words."
I mean, yeah, he already did that with like his announcement, and like the last thing that they saw was Ironwood and Robin being united together, and now all of this other shit's happened, and nobody knows about it. So
yeah,
on the surface, the people are like, "Oh, well, Robin and Ironwood have joined hands, and it's all going to be fine. They'll save us," but they don't know what's happened since then. It's all gone shit. So the people are completely blind as to the circumstances. Yeah, the stuff with Joanna this episode was good. Hearing Caden voice May was really nice as well. The Penny stuff this episode was all, "Oh honey, you don't know what Salem's going." Penny is so naive. Oh my goodness. She
really is.
Let me take the relic to her. Maybe she won't kill everyone. Bitch! You have no idea what you're saying.
Ironwood. That's her little Ironwood in her ear going, me.
Exactly. And like we see that later well.
She needs her Winter in her ear.
Yes. She needs Winter. And like when he like calls her and like guilt trips her and like tells Ruby that like everything that happens from here on is on your hands. Bitch, you fucking started this shit. Like, fuck you. How dare you try to guilt trip them when when all of this that is happening is your fault.
Also, it was like subtle confirmation that James knows that she's the maiden now.
Yeah. Because Winter would have told him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I was really wondering what Winter was gonna do there.
I mean, she gave him a head start, but she was always going to tell him what happened.
Well, like, she could have just said that Cinder ran off with it.
Well, I mean... Salem takes a big part of that, too. All his fault, but he's certainly not faultless. It's 99% his fault.
Yeah.
Like, the 1% maybe is outside forces, but Ironwood being an idiot and a short-sighted... idiot who's completely lost all of his sense and humanity is 99% of the reason why what's happening is happening right now. And not like Salem's invasion. That was going to happen regardless. But everything around that and the circumstances around that are his fault.
And also just his plan now to abandon Remnant. Like, his plan is literally like, well, Salem can't destroy the world if I bring the staff into space. Like,
it's like, you really think Salem won't get to you eventually? Because she will. And what
or
happens
just
when you run out of food?
yeah, like how long can you actually sustain yourself up
It's
there?
such a short-sighted plan. It's not funny.
Like we talked about this last year too.
Yeah, we
Is
did.
like, okay, he brings it up in he gets Atlas away, and she goes out and wipes out the rest of the world.
Then what?
And then what?
You'll run
Like,
out of food eventually, and
yeah,
we'll
and
all
it's like,
just
okay,
starve
so
to death.
she can never reach the staff, but she has wiped out humanity, and you know, and you're the one city left. Like,
Congratulations. Well done.
congratulations.
Now what?
Now what? Like,
Repopulate
exactly.
in the sky. Fucking idiot. Yeah, it's so incredibly short-sighted of him for somebody who claims to be all about the bigger picture. He's an idiot.
I mean, it's
It
so
is in character for him. You're
yeah,
correct in saying that. But I do fault him for it. I'm faulting him for
yeah,
his character is what I'm faulting him for.
yeah,
He's an
exactly.
idiot.
It's like, because his actions make sense for him as a character doesn't mean that I'm like, oh well, it makes sense, so you get a pass. Like, no,
Here's the
have some
difference
self.
between him and Raven, though. Raven knows she's a self-serving, selfish bitch. She's aware of that, even though she contradicts herself a lot. And she doesn't actually know what she wants.
He thinks he's being selfless.
He thinks he's doing the right thing for Remnant when he's actually serving himself. And that's even more dangerous than somebody like Raven who knows that she's a terrible piece of shit. He doesn't think he's a terrible piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that I do think in a lot of ways that they are kind of similar, whereas like they're both afraid is what it comes down to. They're both afraid of Salem, and both wouldn't admit it. Was the thing. Like, and like that was even one thing I noticed, jumping ahead a little bit, like the last thing that Councilman Sleet said before James murdered him was, "Are you so scared?" Bam. Like, and so it's like it you know makes sense that like he was talking about like, "Oh, James, you big pussy," and then bam.
Exactly.
Like,
if anyone even remotely mentions fear to him, he's like, "I'm not afraid." Bang. Like, yeah, clearly you are, and you should be. Especially if this is your attitude towards the whole thing, you should be very scared. Ouch.
I mean, listen, Raven is a bad person.
Bash my elbow. For now, until it all comes crashing down, literally. Yep, Raven still takes precedent in the whole pillaging and murdering villages. They're both terrible people in different ways. Yeah. Except the difference is she knows she's awful. He does not think he is. And that is very, very dangerous, especially for a person with as much power as he has. And control as well. And he controls the flow of information right now, too.
I also think that is another big difference between them, is he's like, if I control as much as I can, you know, everything will be fine. Whereas she was like, if I need to leave it completely out of my control. Yeah. Like, that's if I remove myself entirely from the situation, maybe I will be spared.
Exactly.
Like, it's so out of control, why bother? Whereas he's like, no, I must cling to control.
Yeah. So yeah, putting everybody into the crater is a really shit idea, and that's not going to end well. I mean, yes, it's warm, and like Joanna was like, if we have everybody in one place, we can protect them better. Yes, but you also make them a giant target. If you stuff everybody into the same place, a vulnerable place that could easily have a bomb thrown into it, or, you know, drop a city on top of, like, what are you doing? This is a terrible idea. This is not gonna be the savior that you think it is. And I don't think they're looking at it that way necessarily. She's like, it's not a good option, but it's all we've got. And it's like, well, yes, but this is not going to end well. Yeah, it's a shit idea, but there's no better option. Yeah, that's, I mean, the better option would be to do what RWBY's trying to do right now. But they've got to do something in the meantime to get everybody to a place where they're not going to freeze to death.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I get it, but it's not a good idea.
Like, they said something, I don't remember, but they talked about last volume, like, how long it would be until people started freezing. And it was like...
I think it was Weiss that said a matter of hours.
Yeah, so, like, people are going to start freezing soon.
Very soon, yeah.
Because, like, you know, the power went out at, like, 9 p.m. and it's
probably nearing midnight at this point.
No, it's sun up.
Is it sun up?
Yeah, because remember when Clover died, the sun was rising, and
oh yeah, don't remind me about that. I fucking dare you. I hate you right
so
now.
like it's probably been like 12 hours at this point
Yeah,
since
true.
that went out, and like,
and people are like huddling around fires in the streets and stuff like that, so they're doing what they can to keep themselves warm, but it's not going to last forever.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, before the night falls, they'll have to get everybody into that crater, or they're going to freeze to death.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone over so much stuff that I've written down. I like Winter's new hairstyle.
I do too.
It's
I mean,
cute.
what we saw in the intro.
I'm glad we got to see her with her hair down before they chopped it all off, though. Because
they didn't chop her hair off; it's all tied up.
No, they've chopped it. She's
Did
got
they
a
really
short ponytail.
Is it really?
Chopped. Yeah.
I thought it was like a bun. She'd like just
no,
bunned her hair.
it's a ponytail that's like this long. It's chopped. Yeah. And I do really like the new style on her. I don't like what's going on with her brace stuff. Like it's the same outfit weird that she had before, but now she's got all these weird braces on it, and it just I don't know. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean it's because she's injured, I'm sure, and it's I want to know like what exactly is that device, because it's like, you know, is it robotic in some way where it's like trying to heal her shoulder? Because like I mean that's another thing we haven't talked about is, you know, Ironwood's new arm. Because like he clearly he removed that other arm because
I have a
like
question. It's been how long since he lost the skin on his arm, and already they've amputated his arm and put a new one on, and he's standing? I would say
it's probably been like 2-3 hours.
That's not feasible. I'm sorry, but it's not. It is just not feasible at all. Because like amputating a limb is major surgery, not to mention grafting on a new one would take hours in and of itself. It's all major surgery. How the fuck is he literally standing already? And like all of that is apparently done. I call bullshit on this. I call bullshit. Even money, like it still takes time. Like it's only been a few hours since that happened, and he's already got a new arm on, and he's already like, you know, standing and not completely drugged out on pain medication. Like it's fucking stupid. It's not feasible. So like when I saw that, I was like, really? Come on. No. That would take longer than 3 hours to do all of that.
And I know that was one thing people were discussing is if it was a glove or not.
I thought it was at first, but it's
sort of healing. But when he first does it, you hear all the like
it's not robotic. You can see straight through it. It's definitely a new limb altogether. They've just lopped off his arm. And like at this point too, he's had so much of his body just replaced. I can see why he would just be like, just lop it off and replace it. Like we don't have time, but you don't even have time for that. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, it also goes to show that like, you know, he was the Tin Man, and is he more machine than man? And
well, at like, this point, yeah.
That's partly why is they're showing that they're pushing the losing his humanity metaphor hard. Like that's exactly what it is.
He's now more than 50% machine. So where before he was probably like 40-ish% machine, but now almost his entire left arm, at least to here, is all machine now as well. So all he's got really left is half his torso, one leg, and his head. That's it. So, and a shoulder. But yeah, I call bullshit on that whole thing. That's pretty much all I had written down for that.
Patience says, I hope it doesn't go much further because, dear God, I don't want to hate him. They're gonna make you hate him.
Oh, I already hate him.
They're gonna make you hate him.
I decided that I hated him the second he shot Oscar. I was like, and fuck you.
Like, they are gonna show his full fall into authoritarianism, and when he dies, he's gonna have like a moment with Oscar where he's gonna be like, I was wrong.
I saw some people on Twitter complaining. They're like, oh, they're doing Ironwood dirty. It was Facebook, actually. They're doing Ironwood dirty. And it's like, no, this was always going to happen. They told us in volume fucking 2 that this was going to happen. Like, they showed us his character from the beginning and how, like, flippant he is, and, like, he has the potential to go completely off the rails. That has always been there. And, like, I remember back in Volume 2 never being sure whether I could trust him or not. And, like, never being certain about his character. And now I am certain about his character. I think he believes he's doing the right thing, but he isn't at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's serving the interests of himself because he's afraid. The arguments I've been seeing in Volume 7, Volume 8 Ironwood are completely different. Bitch, no. No, not even a little bit. He's just going further and further off the rails as time goes on, and now he's at the point where he's like, I'm gonna do whatever I deem necessary to make this happen, because I think this is the only course of action to take, and I'm not gonna listen to anybody who disagrees with me. In fact, I'm just gonna kill them. And that's exactly what he does.
A lot of people disagree on, like, it's a weird thing that I see in media is people disagree about, like, authoritarianism and just, like, the way it's portrayed, and, like, this makes sense. It just makes
sense. Yeah,
it makes so much sense with what's happening. Like, people are like, no, he's just a military guy, or he's just into control, or, you know, whatever these stupid arguments are. And it's like, we've always known that he's had the potential to go full authoritarian. Like,
yeah. Did y'all live through the last 4 years of real life? Like, really? Have you been paying any attention to what's been happening in real life? I'm talking political science course right now. It is authoritarian, just not full quite yet. Yeah, I mean, it's 95% of the way there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I was saying earlier, is I don't know if they're going to be able to show us his full fall into authoritarianism, just because I don't think he has time to, like, do some of the, like, high authoritarianism stuff, like, you know, genocide and, you know.
Well, mass genocide's definitely on the list, according to him. So
it's definitely up there.
Wherever this volume ends, it ends in mass genocide, unfortunately. But, like, that's just the point that we're at, because, I mean, everybody's playing right into Salem's hands. This is what she wants. She wants to turn everybody against each other, and Ironwood's playing straight into that. And everybody's so divided that even, like, the inner groups of people who have been very unified to this point are now also dividing and having differences in opinion about how they should handle the situation. And she's just gonna waltz in and be like, all according to plan, and I'm just gonna watch them kill each other, and then I'll go in and finish them. A precious beard like that lost to the dogs.
I know, Fisher.
I don't like the beard. Too. I've never liked it.
I've loved it.
I do not like it. I don't like beards, though. I'm anti-beard.
Listen, it made him 10 times hotter. Like, it's just a fact.
Though, I guess. I love it. Do not insult the beard. Bitch, I'll stop insulting the beard when you stop insulting the zips.
Yes, Cory gets it.
Listen! Y'all thirsty-ass bitches!
Listen, I'll be sad to see him go, but, like, at the same time, I don't see any redemption for him.
No. God, no.
Like, his life is either jail or death at this point.
Yeah.
And death just makes the most sense.
Yeah. The only way this ends for him now is in death.
I will thirst eternally, yes.
Good lord. The only way this ends for Ironwood now is in death, but there is only one death that I will be satisfied with, and if it doesn't happen, I won't be satisfied, and that's just that. If Cory doesn't murder, if Cory doesn't kill Ironwood, I cannot be satisfied with this end. There's no way he survives this volume or Volume 9. He's not making it to Volume 9.
He's not making it to Volume 9.
Ironwood is done here by the end of Volume 8.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the current situation won't change. If he still exists, the situation as it is cannot change, and it has to change. So
yeah, I think he'll die at the end of this volume, and Volume 9 will be like the aftermath.
Well, Volume 9 apparently is a shorter volume, they've said, and it sounds like it could be another travel volume. So that's going to be the interim between Atlas and Vacuo is Volume 9. So, yeah. yeah, Ironwood, and like all the symbolism in the intro and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, he's fucked. Get rid of him. He's just dragging everything down at this point. He needs to go. Get rid of him. Yeah. That's pretty much all I have written down about the episode.
Oh, well, I still have I noticed a couple of little things I thought were really interesting. In the Happy Huntress bar, there's a poster on the wall that says Rumpelstiltskin, and I couldn't read more, but it was Rumpelstiltskin, and so it looked like it was like the name of a brand of alcohol, because there was also a Six Swans poster on a different wall. So I was like, I would like some Rumpelstiltskin, please.
It's a pun. Rumpelstiltskin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But also, it's just, I just saw that and I was like, oh, interesting. But also, I have this. I kept saying this during my reaction. Who are those people? Who are those people in the picture on the wall in the Happy Huntress bar?
I don't know.
The faunus lady and the person with the eye patch. I kept looking at it and being like, who are they? Well, I want to know, who are they? They don't look like anybody we know. So I'm like, well, actually, the person with the eye patch looks like Cinder, but I'm like, but who's?
That's just because they have an eye patch, though.
Well, it's because they have black hair, black clothes, and an eye patch. That's literally it.
Yeah. Former owners, but nothing more, according to RWBY's Volume 8 watch party today.
Really? That's stupid. I was so like.
Who?
Because
I like that they're doing the RWBY watch parties, because that, like, them watching the episodes and talking about it will prompt them to say things about the episodes that they may not say otherwise. So I do like that they're doing that as like the behind the scenes thing this year, instead of, you know, making a whole like formal thing, because they can't really, because everybody's working from home. But instead of like spending a lot of time doing that, this would be a lot less of an investment for them in terms of time. So I'm glad that they're doing that, and I do need to watch it. Thank you for reminding me. The trouble is they stream it today when we do the podcast, which is annoying. Oh well.
I'm disappointed to learn that, though, because I was like, who are they? Are they like the original Happy Huntresses? Are they related to Robin, or like?
Nope, they just owned the place.
They just owned the place. Great, cool. That's disappointing.
Well, I mean, what were you expecting?
I mean, granted, it's like all those people who latched onto that picture at the Brunswick farm in 6, where they were like,
it was meaningless.
And it was meaningless. Yeah. Like, and that was at the time I was like, people are looking way too hard into this, and now
you're like, doing it. Now you are one of those people. It's you.
Man. Listen,
how the turntables.
How disappointing, but you know what? Whatever. What else did I have? I was confused about Oscar made his thing. His like, he didn't tell them about Oz being back now.
Not the time. This is not the time. This is the worst time to bring that up.
Also, the thing he said before that, though, was that he like said that seems to be like, you know, a lot's changed or something, and he made a comment towards Penny, and I was like, does he just know that she's the maiden? Was he filled in off screen? Like, what happened? Also, how did they find him in the crater? That's another issue I have, is they just showed up in the crater. He didn't seem to be expecting them, so it's not like he was like, ring, ring, hello, come get me.
I mean, he might have, like, tried to contact them. He might not have, I don't know. I agree that that's kind of weird that like RWBY just shows up and is like, hey, need a lift? And it's like, how the fuck did you know where he was?
I mean, it's a little thing where it's like, if this episode was already so chat heavy that it's like, if they just needed to just be like, yeah, he gets back to the group, like, you know what, whatever, I'm willing to just accept that they were like, we just needed to get them back together. So,
yeah, apparently they said he called for help even though comms were down. Yeah. They weren't able to use their scrolls at the end of the last volume, so don't know how that works. He could have borrowed someone else's, I guess.
Yeah. Or
Because
the
comms
other,
weren't down completely. Ironwood was just shutting them down
yeah,
specifically.
shutting them out.
So
Hmm.
he could have borrowed somebody else's scroll. I guess that's feasible.
Plus, also, I think it was no, it must have been Sid who brought it up. It's like it could be that like the Happy Huntresses helped locate him because of Joanna's comment about, okay, your friend's back now. Can like,
Yeah, they definitely gave them some help on this. Hey, Smash, you missed everything. Uh,
I don't see how Maria and Pietro could have as well because they were already on, like they are also wanted now on that wanted poster. So Ironwood would have locked them out as well.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else in my notes?
I hope they don't sideline Maria again this volume, but it kind of feels like they might.
They're definitely gonna.
I want her to have a Yoda moment where, like, in episode 2 of Star Wars, where Yoda just, like, whips out his lightsaber and is a crazy fighting machine. I want her to have one of those moments, but I feel like she won't, which is disappointing. Pietro was reversing it for everyone else. Makes sense it would be a case for Oscar too.
Mm.
I guess so.
Maybe.
Excited to see the bikes that Pietro made that were teased in the trailers.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna get that. Like, we're gonna get all that stuff in the in Pietro's shop.
Yeah, you and your gravity dust. He's gonna be sitting there like the whole
I just love gravity dust.
I know, gravity dust is the most interesting dust, easily.
It really is. Like, it's I honestly at this point I'm like, can they make the other dust as interesting as gravity dust? Like, give us some cool things ice can do and fire can do, and
know,
like,
right? Instead of just like being fire and ice.
exactly.
Gravity dust.
Like, I get that they're talking about
useful.
like if I get that they're like, you know, if you put fire and ice together, you get water or mist or steam, you know, kind of a thing. And it's like, but like show us dust being used in interesting ways that isn't just like magic. Like, make it more clear to us what's happening here to make it interesting.
Magic. I'm just waiting for, like, when all of this is over, Yang pinches one of the bikes and just paints it yellow and black. Like, this is Bumblebee now. Bumblebee 2.0. 3.0?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a lot of Bumblebee.
6.9.
Sure. I hate you. Anything else? Is there anything else in the episode before we move on to the intro?
I just have that Ironwood made a comment to Winter. He said, "I don't know what I'd do without you." So yeah. I'm like,
that's so manipulative too.
I know, right? Frick. But I'm also like, foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, I was going to talk about that. The Aesop's reaction and Winter's reaction to what Ironwood does. He's going to turn every single one of them against him before this is over. They're all going to turn against him. Like, if not just for that one act, like, that is the beginning of them being like, this dude's fucking crazy. I'm out.
I don't know. Something Sid pointed out to me is that if after that happened, Vine almost looked pleased with
I don't
what
know if
Ironwood
he was pleased,
did.
but he was indifferent for sure. But
I mean, he was also very indifferent to looking at Clover's corpse.
Yeah, I just don't think he really has a soul.
I really don't see Elm or Vine really shifting much.
Yeah,
Marrow
Elm's kind of, she could go either way. Marrow definitely is gonna flip. Harriet has the potential to. She looked really shocked. Like, yeah, she showed more emotion than I've ever seen her show in that one scene.
And she also, like, I said this in my reaction where I was like, she's got that little Ruby voice in her ear. Mm-hmm. This isn't right. Like,
you're a pawn. Stop being a pawn. Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, she let Ruby get to her a little bit too much. Which is good. She should let Ruby get to her because Ruby's right. But yeah, Winter and Harriet and Marrow definitely have the potential to jump ship in that case. Elm maybe, Vine probably not. Yeah, because he just doesn't really look that interested one way or the other. Yeah.
Does he ever though?
No, well, that's the thing. He's literally not showed a single bit of emotion since we met him. So, nor has he had very many lines even. But yeah, Elm did seem very shocked at what happened, but I still don't know if she could go either way. But yeah, he's gonna turn pretty much everyone against him before this ends. Marrow, really Winter is definite yes. Elm maybe. Harriet leaning no. Vine definitely no. Nah, I think Harriet has more potential than Elm.
I mean, here's the thing. If you'd asked me last volume, I would have agreed with your list. But Harriet, I feel like Harriet and Elm kind of swapped for me.
Yeah, Harriet definitely looked really shocked. And the look that she gave to Winter as well was interesting.
Because here's the thing, I don't think she's necessarily questioning it yet, but she doubts.
I think she also is thinking that, holy shit, if I'm gonna defy him, I need to be very careful, because he literally just shot somebody right in front of us.
Yeah, he's very dangerous. At the very least, she's thinking that right now, where it's like, he's dangerous. Like, it's not even just or maybe even if it was just that was wrong, like, you know? But I don't think that, I think she's still very loyal to Atlas.
Yeah. That's the other thing that Marrow would have. Yeah. That's the other thing that Marrow has, is that he was involved in the whole massacre at the election party thing. None of the other Aesops were involved in that. It was just him. So he was kind of there with Ruby and Penny trying to sort out that whole situation. So that's why I think he feels closer to Team Ruby, Orange, whatever they're fucking called these days, than the rest of the Aesops do, because he has that variable. And he was the most hesitant in the fight with Team Ruby from the beginning, so he's definitely going to jump ship. 100%, no question about it. Winter, I think, also will. Less out of concern for, like, what Ironwood's doing, and more out of love for her sister, I think, is where that's eventually going to come from. She's going to decide, nah, fuck this. I need to protect my family at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just reading Pishan's comment, and here's the thing. I don't really take into account, like, how close they were before, because, like, the Aesops made it very clear that, like, except for Marrow, obviously, because Marrow's the new guy, but, like, we're not friends, we're co-workers.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
So I think that, like, Elm being friendly with them was just, like, a co-worker thing to her. I don't think that
also
she, like,
that's just kind of her personality too, is that
yeah,
she's
exactly.
kind of overly friendly.
When she first met them, she was like, I'm so sorry, like, you know? And it's I just think it was a thing where, like, especially also then taking into account their last interaction in the office when they were talking about, like, Elm was very, like, you know, no to what was happening with the kid, or, like, with what the kids were saying. And she was very much like, you know, Ironwood, like, all of them were, except for Marrow.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know. I just don't really see it for Elm right now. But I can see it for Harriet.
Yeah. I think a lot will have to change for Elm to make
They have to show us
decision.
more of Elm doubting for me to believe it.
Especially because her flip last volume was so weird, like, from being so overly friendly to suddenly being like, I hate you kids, you can die now. That was really weird, because they didn't show us enough development for the Aesops, so hopefully they do that a little better this time around. They've started off pretty strong with showing them in this scene and showing their various reactions to what Ironwood does. So hopefully they handle that a little better than they did last volume, because I feel like there was a whole other episode that should have been in there that was cut to do with the Aesops and Team RWBY bonding, because we saw it a tiny bit in the montage, but it was more with Marrow than anybody else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully they handle that a little better. We have a whole volume to see those perspectives evolve. That's the thing. We've seen one episode and nothing happened. So we don't know. We don't have a clue what's going to happen.
we got one side eye from Harriet, and that's all we have to go off.
Pretty
of.
much,
Like,
yeah. Some shocked expressions and a bit of side eye. That's it. That's all we're working from, and we're being like, so this is what's gonna happen. Like we're just guessing. I mean, it's all speculation, but like, if we don't say it now, then we can't say we were right when it does happen. But yeah, exactly. Intro.
Yep.
Okay. So.
Oh, the last shot of the episode was Salem having a Grim sniff the lamp and be like, "Find Oscar."
Oh yeah, that was in the trailers.
That was also in the trailer too.
Boobies. Enough said. She looks amazing. Yeah, the intro. So first time I saw it, I didn't like it. Because something about the way it was paced felt really off. And Conquering Atlas is a titties outlaw. I'm quoting that. Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah, something
Salem
about
showing up to her ex-boyfriend's house, in lingerie.
Look at me now, bitch. Passion. There we go. That is immortalized now. You're welcome. But yeah, something about the intro felt off the first time I watched it. I was expecting and looking forward to a darker intro, but it was just the pacing felt a little wrong, and it didn't flow as well as previous intros did. But this is an intro that's definitely growing on me the more that I watch it. It was just a bit jarring at first, I think, and not because it was dark or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was the pacing of it that was jarring because it was a bit weird and it didn't go where I thought it was going to go. I love the imagery. The imagery is fantastic.
But it's so fast.
It is.
And so it's like,
and the change at the chorus was the most jarring part for me because it builds up and then it doesn't go as quickly as you think it's gonna go. Yeah, it pulls back a little bit, which is weird.
When the drop happens, it's like, hey, like,
yeah, because it's like da 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 da, and it's like it's kind of weird that it does that because like you feel like it's building up to a bit more than what it does. I know that that's
because then like the next two notes, like I said this to you, like it sounds like it's about to go much faster and then it just falls.
I know that that's a deliberate choice on Jeff's part though, because he tries to go against what people think is going to happen with his music. He doesn't like to make everything sound the same, which I appreciate because after 8 years of RWBY, some of the stuff does inevitably start to sound the same. But the track is just really different, and I feel like it's going to work way better as a 4-minute track than it does as a 1.5-minute track.
Yeah, I think that will 100% be the case.
And it definitely just kind of ends. Like, the ending of the intro was a little weird.
There was another, God, which intro was it? There was another intro that just ended that, like, I didn't really like it as an intro, but when I got the full song, I was like, yeah. I think it was Volume 4's?
No.
It was Volume 4. Was it Volume 5?
I think it was 6, actually. That just kind of ended a bit strangely. I'm trying to remember. 6 is Rising.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't Rising.
Yeah. It wasn't Rising? I thought it was Rising.
Really?
Yeah. Because it has the instrumental bit at the end, and then it just cuts off, kind of. But it wasn't 4, because that was Let's Just Live. And 5 was...
Well, no, wasn't Let's Just Live? Because it was, like, I feel like Let's Just Live also, as an intro, just ended. Yeah,
but it didn't, like, abruptly end, because at the end it says, move on, we're not there yet, so let's just live. And then it ends after that. But I think Volume 6 is the one that I can think of that ended a bit abruptly.
I don't remember that. I just, when you talked about that, I was like, I've had this feeling before, and I couldn't remember where it was from.
Intro. I like the song. I think it's going to work way better as a full track than it does as an intro song. I think it's just a bit of an odd choice for an intro song, but it is growing on me the more that I watch it and listen to it.
It is also one of those things where it's like we have to get used to it. Especially, I feel like that's the thing with some of the darker songs is they take a little bit longer to get, used to.
Mm.
Because like with the happier songs, it's like they feel like dancier, whereas this one is not very dancey.
No, this is more
I don't.
headbanging. This one.
This is like, so yeah, this is why this one's gonna take a little longer to get used to, because it's like
Yeah.
it's not like some of the other ones where it was like happy, yeah.
I love the lyrics. I will say that. I think the lyrical composition is great for this song. There's a lot of foreshadow, a lot of symbolism. I do like the music. I just think the choices that were deliberately made to make it be a little bit different are jarring at first to listen to, but you do get used to it on subsequent viewings. I think it's funny because it's similar to the When It Falls intro in a way, in that it was jarring upon first viewing, and I didn't like it the first time I watched it. And that was the same for When It Falls, but in a different context, because when I saw the Volume 3 intro for the first time, it was the first intro that was really dark, and it was before the volume had happened. I watched the intro before I even saw episode 1, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is the wrong show. It's gotta be the wrong show. And the first half of Volume 3 is like RWBY had been up until that point. And then the second half is where the intro started to make sense. And like... Well,
the intros had always been a little dark before that, but it was, I think it was the song. Well, I mean, like, I think so. Like, but like also the mixture of the visuals in it as well was just like grim invasions and darkness and all this stuff.
And we were like, what the hell is going to happen in Volume 3? Because we didn't have the context of the volume to back up the intro. But once the volume was done, we were like, that makes sense. But now, going into Volume 8, we know that it's going to be bad. So when we got a dark intro, it wasn't a surprise. It's just the way the intro was composed was a bit jarring. Which was a bit with the Shnees and Salem versus Ironwood and the chessboard shit. Yeah. The vocals, obviously, impeccable. As always, Casey smashed it. I love the lyrics. I love the visuals in the intro. There's a few things that I wrote down that I have problems with. But the visuals of Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang at the start with the dark backgrounds and the... gorgeous. I have it on my desktop background. It's so fucking pretty. Those 4 images as like just images on their own are like, eye candy. Love it.
Yeah, I will say though, I've seen a lot of people who are doing edits of those for other characters. Yeah. I've seen one of Jean I like, and the rest I've hated.
I saw one of Jean that I like too, yeah.
And it was actually, I saw that one of Jean before I'd watched the episode, and I thought it was like a legitimate thing from the trailer. So I was like, or the opening. I was like,
spoilers! No, it was not.
And then I watched the trailer and I was like, wait, Jean wasn't in there. Where was Jean?
He's not in there. But yeah, I love the edits that people are doing with it. It's great. I saw one for Penny that was really cute as well.
I saw one for Penny that I thought it was just really badly edited, and I was just like, ooh.
I saw a really cute one for Penny. Hopefully it's not the same one.
I hope it's not the same one.
Because I liked it. But I love that people are doing those edits. I love the shots that they chose to impose on each of the girls as well. Like Ruby's is from Volume 3, Chapter 1, when she talks to Summer at her grave. Weiss's is from her character short, but it is not an exact shot from the character short. It is, that shot was made specifically for this. Because the pose that she has is different to what's in the character short. Her expression and everything is different.
It's same with Blake's from her trailer, from the Black trailer.
That is the same, but it's a different angle. These obviously are not the same shots. They didn't pull shots directly from the show. They've made all 4 of these specifically for this, but it's meant to mimic those shots. But the only 2 that don't exactly mimic the originals is Weiss and Yang's. Those are the only 2 that are different from the originals. Blake's has a different angle, but it's the same pose, and it's obviously meant to replicate that shot. But Ruby's is the most spot on of the 4. Weiss's is different. Blake's is similar. And Yang's is just a completely, like, standing there with why it's meant to represent her character short, but it's not a shot from the character short at all. So, But I love
think
it.
it's supposed to be like a mix of her character short and her character silhouette from the trailer, or from the yellow trailer days.
Yeah. I love them. It's so gorgeous. I can't get enough of that very short section at the start of the intro.
Plus I really like, because the like aesthetic behind them is clearly like the vault.
Yes.
In some way.
Yeah.
And so like, because it's also a thing that comes back later in it as well, and I really like that, the like dark with little things, because it works. Light specks, because it works really well for just the vault and everything that we're seeing. And I know you have some theories about that, but
it's so dark, but it's so pretty. And like the contrast of the dark background with the bright lights, and how gorgeous like the shots look, and how they're like, you know, when people take a still image and they animate it, that's what those shots look like, and that's how they're meant to look. It's meant to look like a still image that's been animated. So pretty. I love it so much. Yeah, this is the first intro Y has ever appeared in. That's right. It only took them 8 years.
Was he not in 2, 3, or 4s?
No, he wasn't in any intro before.
Wow.
I know, right? It only took them this fucking long.
I know, he's not even going to appear in this volume, probably.
I know! He's not even going to be in the volume, and he's in the fucking intro. I mean, as far as we know, he's not going to be in the volume.
That's why I threw in the probably at the end, because who knows?
Yeah.
Fucking Zwei comes to save the day. They call for help, and Zwei shows up.
Yeah. That's easily the best part of the intro, is those 4 shots right there. Done. Best part.
Yeah.
The part where they zoom in on not Crow, Clover's Lucky Charm, I find it interesting that Harriet and Crow are back to back on the last leaf. That's very interesting to me. You thought that maybe that might be setting him up to be the new leader of the Aesops. That was your initial thought.
I mean, it was just a thought I had, because I got the impression from the episode that Harriet's going to be the one leading the Aesops right now. So like having them like that on the thing was me like, is this gonna be like some weird like kind of a struggle thing for like his successor?
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't make a ton of sense, I agree for Crow to do that, but
everything we like interpret from the intro at this point though is completely speculation, because we
did not get much to work off of in this episode.
It's all foreshadowing, and we don't know what it's foreshadowing. So we're just trying to guess at what different things mean in the intro, if they mean anything at all. I thought
the thing is, a lot of things just mean nothing, that they just did for like visual reference.
Exactly. You've got to try and pick out, okay, what has actual meaning, what is foreshadowing, and what is just symbolism and means nothing at all. In the context of the show. But I thought that it meant that they were foreshadowing some kind of confrontation between Harriet and Crow, just because they were back to back, is what I was wondering. But it's interesting for sure that they chose to do that. That was very deliberate. That was put there to foreshadow something. We just don't know what yet. And then obviously Robin grabbing Crow's hand and pulling him up, being like, Robin is going to pull Crow off the floor, literally, this volume, and be like, get on your feet. We're getting out of here.
But she also did it in the way she does her
she did.
thing.
Again, foreshadowing. Hopefully. And then the bars come across, and like obviously, you know, it's symbolizing they're going to be in prison for probably a short amount of time.
Hopefully a short amount of time.
The Salem shot with Oscar after he's been kidnapped. I have a problem with this shot. I already told Cory about this, but I have an issue with this shot. It lingers for too long. Because
it does linger for too long.
The way they animated it is the animation's very quick, so she comes in quite quickly and then hangs there for over a second, and it's too long. They should have made the animation slower so that she stays there for less time at the end of the shot. Because it just looks a little weird the way that they chose to do it. It is freaky, but it lingers too long.
Especially with how quick the rest of the trailer kind of is.
Exactly.
The slow moments really stand out.
It does affect the pacing a lot, and because it's only a minute and a half, you've really got to nail those tiny details, otherwise it does fuck with the pacing of the whole intro. lot of Renora foreshadowing, especially because Ren's looking at the sun and Nora's got her back to the sun. She's in darkness. Kind of like our background art, as it so happens. Look at that, we foreshadowed something.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm scared for Nora's safety this volume just because of that one shot in the intro where she's like all shrouded in darkness with her back to Ren. All the Renora angst hits different, yeah. I'm very concerned for her safety this volume. I really hope that nothing bad happens to either of them, but it's gonna happen eventually. We had a lot of symbolism with the Shnees as well. We saw Weiss and Winter. I liked how Winter, when she was walking towards Weiss, she looked how she did before, and then when she crossed her, she looks how she does now, which was...
So it's like their paths have
crossed.
Diverged.
Yeah, they've diverged. They've crossed and then diverged. So... And then we saw Whitley and... I've forgotten... Willow Shnee. Is that actually her name?
That is actually her name.
Yeah, because it was the fandom's name for her for a long time. So I never know if that's actually her name. We saw Whitley and Willow.
We had Papa Shnee, Mama Shnee.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Shnee glyph falls and shatters. So obviously, big foreshadow for the downfall of the Shnee Empire this volume, I think. The Shnees are going to come tumbling down. Because Jacques' been arrested, and we know that he's going to be in the volume at some point. He was in the trailer. What significance he's going to bear is not clear at all. But yeah, the Shnee Empire is going to come tumbling down just from the symbolism there. The fact that the glyph shatters is interesting. Chess symbolism, yes. Chessboard and like Salem with all of her pieces. And I found it really interesting, not only that Ironwood's standing by himself, but right beside him are two white pawns that disappear right before the whole chessboard falls out from under him. So
that's why I'm wondering if those are supposed to be Penny and Winter.
I don't know. They're supposed to be... They're symbolic of... I think they're symbolic more of all of the pawns that Ironwood has in play, and that by the end of this, he is going to be totally alone. And it's just going to be him standing against Salem from his perspective. I think what we see there is how it looks from his perspective, that everybody's going to abandon him. And
that's why I brought up the line of, I don't know what I'd do without you, because I'm like, when Winter leaves him.
When. Not if, when.
When. There's no if, it's when.
The symbolism with the flower petal that lands on Ren's hand and then blows past Nora. I'm wondering one of two things. I think it either is symbolizing spring the season or spring the maiden, who's Raven.
Well, I saw a third theory people brought up, is that they think it might be a cherry blossom. So it might be more symbolism for Ren.
Maybe. So
it's like the one dissolves in Ren's hand, and then the other one flies past Nora, and Nora's distracted by it before she has to focus back on her mission.
Counterpoint. Kind of Ren's symbol is a lotus flower, not a cherry blossom. Counterpoint.
Listen, I just know people were like, it's pink, it's Ren. So I was like,
hey. I think it's definitely obviously spring related, but whether that is referring to spring coming in, like that being, there's gonna be hope at the end of this, or literally Raven rushing in for some reason to fight Salem after everything about her personality contradicting that.
I just think it doesn't make sense because, again, Great War.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make sense for them to bring everybody back together before Vacuum.
It doesn't make any sense at all. If Raven shows up, I'll eat my shoe. I've said that before. I don't think she's gonna appear in the volume. If she does, I'll actually be annoyed because I don't want her there. She's just. We've already got Cinder. Can we not have them both at the same time again, please?
Yeah, I know, because that's what I'd be worried about if Raven shows up. It would just be a power grab for Cinder to be like, mine, 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 mine.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Salem's going to care too much about Spring Maiden at this point because she's useless
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what I was wondering about is like, when I said earlier, is does she care about the maidens or does she care about the relics or both? I think she just cares about the relics.
Yeah,
the maidens are just the means to an end.
Raven no longer has a reason to hide from Salem, but she does have a reason to hide from Cinder. But she thinks Cinder's dead. She doesn't know Cinder survived, necessarily. Because especially... I mean,
she does still have some reason to hide from Salem because she is still a person with magic.
Yes, but I don't think Salem cares about her anymore because she has the Relic of Knowledge. And that's all she needed the Spring Maiden for. And now that she has it, she doesn't need the Maiden. Salem's not the kind of person to waste time and resources. So I don't think she's going to worry about wasting resources on Raven unless Raven pointedly gets in her way. And then she'll be like, and you're off the board. Goodbye. But until that happens, she's not going to bother with her. She's like, you're irrelevant now. You just go be over there. I don't understand why people think Raven and Ty will show back up again. I hate this theory. They're not going to. The thing that happened after the credits in Volume 5 was meaningless! And they really shouldn't have showed it at all because, like, we could have put that together for ourselves. You didn't need to show us that. And all they did was create a monster within the fandom.
I like when Ty or Raven show back up in Vacuo, please don't have them show up together. Have them show up separately so that way it just, like, fully kills the theory that, like, oh yeah, they've spent the last 2 years together. You know, like, whoa.
She literally used him for a scapegoat, and that's it. And that's the last fucking time I will say that.
Yeah, it's
so annoying. This theory needs to be killed in its crib, for want of a better expression. I'm so sick of hearing it. It's not, no. No. Stop. Another thing I found interesting in the intro was the split shot where RWBY and Yang, like, nod at each other, especially considering we just saw them butting heads this episode.
Well, so I mean, like, but again, they were butting heads this episode, but they weren't like Jean said, is like they're divided but united.
Are they though?
They're. I mean,
I feel like everyone but Yang is.
No, I think they are. I think that they came to that understanding at the end that it's like, you know, we can do both, and these are like they are both right things to do. Because it was like before they were trying to come to the agreement of no, we all have to do this, and when Jean said let's do both, it kind of was like okay, like, you know, Yang didn't see the point in doing the other thing, and RWBY didn't see the point in doing the other thing, but like. They, you know, they're doing what they think is right, and the other people are doing what they think is right, and they are both working towards the same goal.
Yeah, I think it's just the fault of bad scripting for
Yang. It's just bad wording for Yang's part. All it came down to make it seem. But I think that they are, like, as I think it was Oscar who said it. They are, you know, united but not against each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I just found that interesting in the intro after, like, what they showed us in episode 1 of RWBY and Yang, or just Yang really in general. That, like, in the intro they have that pointed moment where the sisters nod at one another. And it's like they're the two leaders of the two different groups. It definitely seems like what they're setting up there.
Yeah. I mean, I always say that, like, oh, well, they sent Jean down in Mantle because they needed a leader, but, like,
Yang seems like she's heading that group more than Jean.
Way.
Yeah.
Because again, like, I don't really think of Jean so much as the leader as he is the tactician.
Yeah. And he's a mediator for sure in this situation. So,
whereas, like, RWBY is a leader.
The intro shot was Cinder, Em, and Neo. I hate this shot. I like the freeze frame with everybody in action. That's really cool. But the walking bit with Cinder goes for too long. And then the like bit where she like grips her arm and she's like crying out is awkward. It's an awkward shot. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It just is a bit like.
And then it pans up far too quickly through the rest of the villain, where you're just like,
the next bit's fine, like, but that is just
take a look at Salem, and it's like, where okay, like it's another. That's one of those shots where you notice how slow it is because everything else is so fast.
Yes.
And I wish that they had taken a second to slow down the like pan up from the fire just a little bit, so that like all the villains flashing by didn't happen so quickly.
Yeah. I feel like that was a case of they wanted to do this cool freeze frame and have somebody walk through it, but then they didn't know what to do with the shot after that. And then what they did kind of gives that away because it's like, okay, that was awkward. Like,
yeah, burst into flames.
Yeah. Ah! Okay, cool. Right. Move on, please. The Relic of Creation and the Relic of Knowledge with the two different blue mists was interesting. So now people are theorizing if there's going to be an entity of the Relic of Creation like there is with Knowledge.
I have a theory.
I know you do.
So I was talking about this, and like people keep bringing up like the Norse mythology kind of. People have been bringing up the entire time in Atlas. And I was wondering, I was like, well, obviously, like the lamp and the genie or the djinn, it makes sense with those two. So I was like, but is there really any sort of like myths around like creations, or obviously around creation, but I mean like staves or beings inside of, you know, or items that symbolize creation or anything like that? And I couldn't really find anything, but I was like, well, what's the Norse creation myth? And the first being created in the Norse creation myth was Ymir, the frost giant. And I was like, the color of that mist kind of fits with the idea of like a frost giant.
Also Atlas.
So what, and also Atlas. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe like there's some kind of like, I don't know if it'll be named Ymir or if the being will be some sort of like frost giant looking thing.
I mean, they named the genie Jinn for crying out loud, so.
Yeah. But that's just like the idea that I had when I was like trying to come up with like what could possibly be the being in the staff, if there is one. Which, I mean, there seems to be.
Seems to be what they're hinting at there. And it would make sense if each of the relics had a, like, being that was, like, where the source of the relic's power comes from, is this being. I wonder if they're not, like, dissimilar from demigods, in a way, these beings within the relics. Because they, like, Jinn is all-knowing. She knows everything. So that is definitely a god-like trait that she has,
and they're relics created by the gods, so
exactly.
Like, they could do, and like making them demigods is like, you know, makes sense because they are creations
of the gods. Yeah, exactly. They were the gods' gift to mankind. So for them to be demigod like beings would make sense. There's a lyric in there that I find particularly interesting, and it's when the ground collapses out from under Team RWBY and they fall. It's some heroes choose the wrong side. And I think we're already seeing that happen with the division in the main hero group. And has me concerned that there's going to be further division and further argument between the two sort of subgroups before they eventually come back together.
I'm kind of worried about Penny being that one.
See, Yang is my biggest concern right now.
I don't...
Obviously. But, yeah, Penny also has that potential because she's so naive that she would actually believe that handing over the relic would make all of this stop. They don't also know that she already has the relic. So... Or do they?
No, she's talking about the staff.
Oh, the staff, right, of course, duh. Sorry, I was thinking about the Relic of Knowledge.
They probably at this point assume that Salem has the lamp.
Has the Relic of Knowledge, yeah.
Because one of Salem's agents came and stole it from them.
That's true. The Aesops as well. Some heroes choose the wrong side. It's going to be a lot of. There's going to be a lot of division within previously established groups of heroes, within Team RWBY and the rest, and also the Aesops.
It could just be a reference to James as well.
He's not a hero though.
I mean, but
he thinks kind of is, but he's not.
Wasn't the name of his song Hero?
Yes, because that's how James perceives himself. That entire song is about how he perceives himself, but that's not what he actually is. He's an anti-hero.
I'm just saying, like, that could be like the simplest explanation for like it's James. He's making wrong decisions.
He's already chosen the wrong side, of you know.
I mean, but imagine if, like, as things go more and more wrong for him, and he's like trying to stop, and he's losing people. What if he actually what if he joined Salem? It would have to be really.
No.
They would have to work if they were to go that way because he's afraid.
They don't have time to do that to his character. They literally don't. And like also. He's so afraid of Salem, but he is so adamant that he wants to save people from Salem.
Yeah,
and save himself as well. He's not gonna join her now. That would just be crazy.
That's true because he also talked about because that was the thing is Raven joined Salem temporarily.
Sort of.
Granted, that was
indirectly.
That was
self-interest, yeah, exactly.
But it also Lionheart joined, and he called Lionheart a coward, and I mean, granted, so are you, James.
Yeah.
Hot meat kettle.
I know, right? Oh goodness.
So it's probably not. I was just thinking, I was with the word hero and the way things have been going, obviously James is a person who comes to mind because of his song. But especially because I just can't see any of our main cast of characters switching sides. The only one would be Ren, but Ren seems very anti that now.
Dumb bitch calling another dumb bitch. Exactly. I find it interesting too, the symbolism when you talk about Lionheart and Ironwood, the cowardly lion who lost his courage, and Ironwood has become the Tin Man who lost his mind, which is interesting.
I thought he was the one who wanted a heart. Oh wait, no, that was the cowardly lion.
Oh no, the Scarecrow was the brain, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, see, I'm right. Pishin's right.
Yeah, heart. Yeah, no, you're right. No, Scarecrow's the one who wanted the.
Who wanted it?
Is Crow gonna lose his mind? Uh-oh. Oh no! If he hasn't already.
Wait, who is? Oh, I was like, wait, who's the? Oh wait, yeah, who is the headmaster for Vacuo? I know it's in the books, but I haven't read them yet.
It's a female headmaster.
I think they confirmed in the books that it was a dude, and I was very disappointed to hear that. Yeah, because I wanted it to be Dorothy.
Oh, Theodore.
So I mean, still Dorothy.
So there was Leonardo and Theodore. Ugh, lame.
It is Dorothy. Ugh, make it a girl. How rude.
It is Dorothy. What?
Well, because Theodorothy. I said I wanted.
Why didn't they just make her a woman? Literally, this is a show with so many strong female characters, and they make all of their headmasters men. What the fuck?
They do
imply they might be trans. That I would accept, but still, come on. That's so annoying.
I mean, because then. So I don't know. Then what did Dorothy want from the wizard? Wasn't it to go home? How is Salem gonna help the Theodore go home?
But yeah, you're quite right. The Tin Man wanted a heart, but James. I don't know if James has necessarily lost his heart. He's certainly lost his empathy, but he does still want to save people.
I mean, we've got a volume to see him do that.
Oh yeah.
He literally has ruby gloves and silver shoes. Oh God.
That's so annoying. I can't believe
I
it's
really
a
need to
dude.
read the books. I've heard they're good. I need to read them.
Yeah, I've heard they're good as well. I don't have time to read them. Um, uh, yeah, I want to talk about the shot where Team RWBY fall into that like water stuff that's like glittery and gold, and there's the grim hands that are pulling them down. That really reminded me of the Pools of Creation when I first saw it. Um, and I was wondering if maybe the vault where the Staff of Creation is held in is similar to the Pools of Creation in a way. I'm wondering if all this dark imagery with all the gold twinkling lights is what maybe the vault looks like in a way, because the vault where the Relic of Knowledge was just a desert that like seemed to be otherworldly. Like we know wherever these vaults are, they are not on Remnant. They exist on a different plane. So I'm wondering if the vault of the Staff of Creation is kind of like almost like a combination of the Pools of Grimm and the Pools of Creation. Here's another speculation. I wonder what the Atlas interdimensional portal thing will give us.
I mean, that's literally what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's literally what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the vault.
Because we've seen the outside of the vault last volume. We're talking about inside the vault.
We're talking about inside the vault. Yeah, not the outside. The outside we've already seen. I'm talking about where the staff is, which is on this other interdimensional plane that apparently exists.
That you think will be just like the Pools of Creation?
I think it will be, but it will be dark and like it'll be like the Pools of Creation meets the Pools of Grimm, essentially. And I think that's what that imagery is hinting at. And then the Grim Arms, obviously, they a couple of them are like the Nukellavi arms, a couple of them are like the Apathy arms, but I think they more represent.
I pointed out the ones that Salem used.
Yeah, the ones that Salem used. Yeah, I saw Cal tweet about that earlier today. Like she had never seen anybody point that out, and I was like, really?
I know. That was literally my first impression when I saw it. I was like, it's Salem's grabby hands.
Yeah, it reminded me of that scene in whatever volume it was.
Volume 6. Yeah,
and the other thing I found interesting about it was that a couple of them looked like the Nukellavi arms, and the rest were more like the Apathy ones. Yeah, Salem's grabby arms. And then the red trailer symbolism at the end with Crescent Rose alone in the snow and the rose petals was interesting. And like the neon outlines of all 4 of the girls' weapons falling as well was interesting.
There was the shot in there of Penny's face. You see Penny's face?
Yeah, it was Penny's face.
Her eyes flash red and her whole silhouette goes red.
Yeah.
I
couldn't tell who it was the first couple times, but I was like, oh, that's Penny. I can see her hair. Yeah, the Penny shot in the neon outline. Oh god, the foreshadowing. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't. People last volume were like, she's getting hacked. She's getting hacked.
Imagine if they hacked the fucking Winter Maiden. Like seriously, not good. I know.
Here's the thing. I just don't see how it's possible because like.
Surely they would have built firewalls against that after what happened in Volume 3.
It calls into question like the nature of a soul and like. Does she not have free will over like just because like it would be one thing if they hacked her and like they took control of her body because her body is mechanical.
Yeah.
But like if they can like take over Penny as like a person,
I don't think they can. I don't think that's possible. I think like while she has a soul and while she has free will and she is a person, she's also a machine. So it's definitely possible that they could take control of her against her will. But I don't think it's possible for them to take control of her soul, so to speak.
Yeah, so I'm like, even if they took her, I don't think they'd be able to like use her maiden powers.
They might. It depends on how closely tied that is with her physical body. It really depends because we don't know how it works at all. We know that it's tied to their soul, but how closely is their soul tied to their physical being is the question.
Yeah. That's just the thing I'm worried about with if they hack Penny is like having to think through these questions of like, you know, like, yeah, she's a robot, but like, the
Her
robots we've
soul is
seen got
human.
hacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the robots we've seen get hacked before are just robots.
They're just machines, yeah.
Like it would also bring into question, like, okay, if you can hack into that, can you hack into Ironwood's arm and have him like choke himself to death? Like,
I wish.
wouldn't that be
Wouldn't that be hilarious? What a way to go.
So it's one of those things where I'm like, where does like how does the machinery work within? I mean, granted though, feel like James's situation is different because it's just an arm, whereas Penny's situation is she has an entirely robotic body, but she is a person.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I'm like I hope that doesn't happen just because I'm like I don't want to have to like try to like rationalize this in my brain for why this works.
I love the text symbolism too with the happy ever after happy never again at the end there. I thought that was interesting the way they did that. I do like the intro overall, having seen it a few times now. Visually, it looks really good. The animation is really good. I do like the song, even though it has its moments where it's a bit weird. But again, when we hear the whole full version, I think I'll like it a lot more. But yeah, it's a good intro. It's nowhere near the standard of Volume 7 and 6. Not in terms of animation or visuals. It's definitely up to standard there, but it doesn't flow the same way. It's jarring, and I think a little bit of that is deliberate, and a little bit of it is it's just jarring, and like some of the shots just don't really work, and there's not as much flow. It feels very segmented compared to the previous two.
Yeah,
and I mean, honestly, they were hard pressed to beat Volume 7's intro anyway. It is hands down the best intro in the entire show. It is visually gorgeous, beautiful, colorful, amazing. The song is great. They were never going to outdo that. So I wasn't expecting it to be as good as Volume 7, but it was a little less good than I was expecting the first time I saw it. But it's definitely going to grow on us by the end of the volume. I definitely would... Currently, I would rank it, like, below Volume 2, but above Volume 3. Let's say that. Because Volume 2's intro is really good. It doesn't get enough love. It's really good.
I love Volume 2's intro.
Yeah. I would say that this intro was better than Volume 4's intro as well. And Volume 5, maybe. I don't know. I have to watch Volume 5's again, because it's been a while since I've seen it. But Volume 2 is really up there for me. Yeah.
I would, this is somewhere around Volume 3's for me. I would agree with that. They're like kind of on par. But I don't know. I feel like maybe the chopping, like the kind of weird pacing bits, maybe puts it slightly below 3 for me. But I need to rewatch.
The animation in 3's is so bad. It's so bad. Fair. It's really terrible. It has the worst animation of any intro. 3. And I just can't get past it, because I remember like seeing Volume 3's intro and being really scared for the quality of the animation of Volume 3, which wasn't the case. A lot of it was fine, but it wasn't as bad animation wise as Volume 2, Volume 3. But obviously there were problems with a lot of the fight scenes. But yeah, Volume 3's intro animation is really not good. So yeah, I definitely think this one's better than 3, just for that reason alone. And like, I think Volume 3's is tainted for me because the first time I saw it, I was so confused. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, I've watched the wrong intro, surely. This can't be the same show that I've been watching for the last 2 years. So I think that's always going to taint my opinion of 3's intro.
See, I didn't have that feeling with Volume 3's intro because I always felt like they were kind of dark. I was a bit confused by the visuals of it.
Yeah.
But like the visuals for the first 2 hadn't really matched up very well with things that actually happened in the volumes anyway.
They were very vague. Yeah.
I was just kind of like, whatever. They're trying something.
The intros are much more literal now than they ever were.
Yeah.
And that's more them trying to lean towards the anime-esque style intro. Especially this intro at the start is very anime, with the like glitching different shots of like Atlas and stuff like that, and Mantle. Considering I jumped on the train between 2 and 3, I didn't have any comparison prior. Volume 1's intro is so bad. It's so bad.
It's so bad, but like I love it.
I know, it's so nostalgic though.
It holds a special place in my heart because I'm just so
bad.
But they tried something, and you know what? I respect that.
My biggest problem with the intros in Volume 1 were they made that stupid short one for the episodes. That stupid, like, 30-second version that they had. God, that was terrible. And that was at the start of every episode. And granted, some of the episodes in Volume 1 were 4 minutes long. So having a minute and a half intro wouldn't have made a lot of sense. But that didn't help.
It didn't help.
It didn't help. God, Volume 1 was a cursed time. Bloody hell. But
I would love to go back to show Volume 1 me watching the show, just like show like the fight, like the Adam fight from the end of Volume 6, and be like, here, and just to be like, it will get here eventually, and just being like,
stick it out for another 5 years and this is what we'll get. Yeah, exactly. We had to go through a lot of bad animation to get there, but we got there eventually. And that's the thing.
Listen, I will forever forgive Volume 1 because it had no budget.
Oh yeah.
It, like, they had no idea what they were doing with it. It was completely just like, sure, try it, and they tried.
They tried. They did what they could with what they had at the time, and that wasn't good. But bless them for making the content at all, because if they hadn't, we wouldn't be here now. So
exactly,
that had to happen for us to get here and to have the quality that we have with the show now. Especially with losing Monty was a huge hit to the show in general, and it took them a long time to recover from that and get to a point now where we as the viewers and critics and reactors and whatever have you can trust that they will put out a quality product. It won't be perfect, but we know that there is a standard of quality that they've reached with the show that we can trust in and rely on. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be things that maybe go, because that hasn't stopped since Volume 1. But it's less frequent now than it was. Let's put it that way. There's less moments. But the fact that there was already like 3 in the first episode has me slightly concerned.
But it was like, this first episode was so hard for them. Especially because I have so much hope for episode 2 that I'm like,
same.
Especially like as soon as I watched this episode, I was like, you know what? Episode 1, it was the necessary thing we needed to get to episode 2.
I hope that's the case. And like I'm excited for episode 2. I don't want to hype myself up too much though, because I overhyped for episode 1 and I was disappointed by the time it finished. So I'm like, keep my bar a little lower, and then I'll get surprised when it's really good.
I think that's why I'm slightly less disappointed in this episode than you are, because like I had not been keeping up with RWBY news and anything Volume 8 related at all these last 2 months. So I had like zero hype going into this episode. So when it was what it was, I was like, yeah, cool.
The problem,
I didn't have any expectations to like fall on.
The problem I saw the trailers and I was underwhelmed by the trailers. I was like, okay, because they called it a teaser and a trailer, but they were 2 teasers.
Especially because the entirety of the teaser trailer was in the official trailer.
Yes! Half of the 1 minute trailer was shit that was already in the teaser. So what we got was 30 extra seconds. That's not a fucking trailer, bitch. Like, that's not... Just call it teaser number 2, because that's what it was. But the problem I had was, on the day that the episode came out, I went on Twitter in the morning to see what a couple people were saying about it. And some people were like, oh, it was so emotional and all this sort of stuff. And then I watched it and I was like, what? What about that was emotional? Nothing. And so, like, that's where my disappointment came from, is from other people overhyping the episode.
It would have been better if the like argument in the bar had gotten more emotional. But I never feel like it really fell into the emotional territory, where it was people disagreeing was what it was, but it wasn't emotional.
No, it wasn't at all what people on social media had led me to believe what was in the episode. That didn't make any sense, sorry. But I had a stroke. All I'm saying is I've already gotten spaces on bingo board filled out. Yeah, so I'm more hopeful that episode 2, I nearly said volume 2, episode 2 will be more interesting. And that's as high as I'm going to put the bar. I'm not going to put it any higher than that.
I think that it inevitably will be more interesting just because, again, like, it was an episode of people talking, and here's also the other thing. They've had, with other episodes they've had of people talking, they were downright boring. I didn't think this episode was boring.
I was a little bored. Guys, I was expecting more.
This is not an episode that I will like skip on rewatch.
No, I would never skip it. But
yeah, but I mean, other talky episodes like Volume 4 and 5 had their talky episodes that are like
Chapter 9. Oh my god,
those would skip on rewatch.
That's a skippable one. Supposedly they're premiering a character tomorrow, if Larissa Angus is to be believed. Interesting. What was I gonna say? Something. I've had it previously in previous volumes where like people who work on the show will be like, I'm so excited for X episode, and then I get to the episode and I'm like, that was lame. I don't know what you were talking about.
Hi, Larissa.
Yes, we're still
Welcome
live.
back.
Of course we are.
We probably won't be too much longer. We're at the end.
Yeah, it's almost 3 hours. We're gonna wrap up here in a sec, but yeah, I've had it before where like, especially showrunners have overhyped the episode, and then I watch it and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I take a lot of what what showrunners say to us with a grain of salt, just because, like, I mean, it's just a lot of times I've also been disappointed with what they say. Yeah. There's only like there've been a handful of times where I was like, they said it was awesome and it was even better, and most time it's like they say it was awesome and I was like, yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was decent. It was an episode. I don't know if it was awesome. The one that immediately comes to mind is about chapter 12 of last volume. I don't remember who it was that said, it was one of the animators that said,
oh, they said it was so gross.
Yeah, they said, you guys are gonna puke. And I watched the episode and I was like, I'm not gonna puke, but I am very angry. Like, you completely misjudged what our reaction was gonna be.
No, it wasn't about that. They were saying it was supposed to be the scene with Tyrion breaking his thumb. That was supposedly the scene that was going to make you puke, and I was like, really?
What? Oh, that is such a bullshit half-ass attempt at not.
I know.
No, that's not what they meant at all.
I think that I 100% think that is what they meant. I don't.
Come on. I don't. What about that was puke worthy? I mean, yeah, he broke his thumb and that's gross, but like...
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be like the sound and then the way he was like they like hung on his thumb just like hanging there.
Yeah, it's gross, like, but is it puke worthy? Maybe if you're somebody who really doesn't deal well with that kind of thing, but like... Really? Again, though, like, there was a lot of that for that episode in particular where the showrunners were hyping it up and being like, oh, this is going to be so good. And then the backlash came back and they were like, uh-oh. Because what we actually were was pissed off when that happened. So,
yeah. I mean, we've talked about that whole thing at length. There's no need to rehash that. We've talked about
so much. We're not going to rehash that now. But anyway, closing with predictions for tomorrow.
I mean, I have a lot of predictions for what's going to happen in Mantle, just with like them getting their new equipment and them working with the Happy Huntresses to like move people to the crater, kind of a thing. I think we're going to get some grim fights and, you know, that kind of thing. I have no fucking idea what's going to happen with Team Atlas. Like,
yeah, I don't know either. I think definitely we're seeing Crow and Robin tomorrow. I think they'll make an appearance, but that's the only prediction that I have. And I'm wondering if we might see Jacques and Watts maybe as well, or if that's going to be pushed to episode 3. Because everything we saw in the trailers is episodes 1 through 3. It's not going to be any further in than that. There's no way. So
I think there's going to be some stuff because, like, there's that shot.
Things, but
there's that shot in the trailer of like Vine fighting somebody, and I'm like, that's not going to happen for a while.
I remember that shot. I'll be honest.
It's during that section of the trailer where it's like flashing really quickly through things as Ironwood saying something. I think it's literally on the screen for like 0.5 seconds.
Okay, I
or
don't
something.
remember
Like it's really fast. I don't think that we're gonna get that soon, but yeah,
maybe episode 4 then, but it's not going to be any further in than that because that stuff wasn't done when they made those trailers. So even what's in the trailers wasn't finished. So at the time, but yeah, definitely Crow and Robin, and that's gonna break my little heart. Whatever that scene is gonna be. Happy Huntress is confirmed for tomorrow. I hope for a fight scene soon. Don't expect it this episode. Probably Crow and Robin mantle team shots. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're hyping this up has me cautious about overhyping it for myself. But yeah, there are definitely episodes that the showrunners and voice actors have pinpointed to be, I'm excited about this episode.
Also, one thing I hope that they don't do this season, is that I hope they don't like dedicate full episodes to like, this is the Team Mantle episode, and then Team
please don't do that.
Atlas
Please don't do that. They did
like,
that in Volume 4 and it doesn't work.
if it needs to be that way, like once this volume, I'll forgive it.
Yeah.
But like, but make it later, because like right now I'm like, you set up so much last episode. Now give me some back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Salem at all, and I don't really want to see Ironwood at all.
We won't see Salem next episode. What would be the reason for us to see Salem next episode? There wouldn't be one.
I'm like, you set up where everybody's gonna be in episode 1. Great. Now just give me my girls.
Yeah.
And then, Robin and Crow, because we don't know where they are. But like,
yeah, I need to check in with Cory. I need to get a read on his mental state. Like, seriously, I'm so concerned for him. Like, I just need to make sure that he's gonna be okay. I mean, he's not okay. He's traumatized, but like, I need to give him a hug.
We just need to see what's up with him, because I
need to see Crow. I'm so concerned for his well-being. So I'm just like, just show him to me. I just need to get a read on him. Yeah, so hopefully Crow and Robin. But aside from that, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, other than that, I just want to see Team Mantle doing something. I want to see Team Atlas doing something.
Yeah, pretty much. Anywho, we'll wrap that up there. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember to go follow me on Twitch to see the rest of the Boopcasts in their fullness as VODs on my Twitch, or you can watch them live every Saturday from 12 p.m. AEDT, unless the time changes because of guests. We're only going to have guests every 3 podcasts or so this year. So we have guests confirmed for chapter 6 at this point, but not for anything else. So I'm still working on that. I've got to work with other people's schedules. So you'll see some familiar faces this year. You won't see any new ones, just because we don't really have time to schedule 50 bajillion guests this year like we did last year. It was too much.
Yeah, last year was really fun, but goddamn,
it was so much fun, but holy fuck was it a lot of work behind the scenes. I had a whole Discord server and it was a mess with the dates and the times because of the time zones, and oh my god. Let's not have a repeat of that this year. As much as I love everybody. I love everybody, you're all amazing, but like we need to scale it back. So yeah, we will see you next week at the same time to talk about episode 2. I'm going to be uploading Volume 7 fight scene and score videos throughout Volume 8, probably once a week. Larissa has helped me edit those for Volume 7, so half of them were done by me, half by her. So I'm going to be uploading those as we go. Cory is doing reactions, I'm doing reactions. Follow us on our YouTubes. Hold on, let me get everything up. Thank you. And Twitters and Twitches. Yeah. And there's another one as well, I think. No, not that one.
Nope. Is it?
I don't know. I don't know. There's commands. So yeah, make sure you go follow us on all our social media. If you're watching on YouTube, everything's in the description. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.